Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. Casey and Moto here. So let's get started. Let's have a little chat about what's going on in the world of green living. Let me check the audio real quick on the YouTube stream. It's there. Let's see. All right, we've got one viewer already, and let's check out the chat. Let's make sure that's open so we can talk. All right. Good morning, Les. Good to see you. Or good afternoon in your case. And let's see. Let's turn this share on. So the first one, I've got a note. I called it iced, literally. It's coming from by way of Drive Tesla Canada. And Brangwin shares this video. Les has got his kids too. Look at that. So I called it iced literally because Brangwin found this scene when they went to the supercharger, or I should say he went to the supercharger, because the snowplow, let's read it. He said, according to a local built in the busiest grocery store parking lot in town, they also had a winter storm a day or two before, and so they put the snow in the usual corner where we were there the other day. So they've got literally maybe two spots, maybe one spot available. It's not the end of the story. Drive Tesla says, and when this happens in an area where the temperatures stay low and below freezing for sometimes months at a time, how long do you think it'll take for this mountain to melt? Fair point, because, the Canadian perspective. Trev says, this is simply unacceptable. If I needed to charge, I turn to Karen in 3 seconds flat. Let's see. Chansu says, snow cleaning guys drive F-150s normally. Laughing face. Then should be part of the contract that the host needs to keep it clear. I agree. That wasn't there when I looked through the first time, or Twitter rolled it back. Yep, Twitter rolled it back. Then I'm looking for the follow-up. I've saved it as a separate window just in case, because I learned my lesson about the way Twitter moves these things around. That could take till March to melt. It's uncommon when temps hover around. I guess it's not uncommon when temps hover around 0 to -5. Calling it has to be retired. Tesla Nairs driving their Cybertrucks to the rescue. All right, so then the follow-up came from Rajan. Rajan? This is from last night. I guess it's cleared. So here we can see that I wouldn't call it cleared. I would just call it moved further, because you can see the mountains of snow are still there. They're just no longer blocking all but one stall of the superchargers. Yes, sweetie. Why are you kicking the desk? Let's see here. And then we got another picture on this side. So I guess somebody called Tesla, and Tesla said, hey, this is not what we agreed to, and they fixed it. So there we go. I love a good news story to start it out. All right, so let's move on to, so I can close both of these windows. Lance says, have you noticed any changes in the Model X cabin heat in the last 10 days? Wife said we got a software update, and the app is now showing that the internal sensor reads much higher. It will feel cooler in the car than it did before with heat on high or 81. I've never really run the car on high except when defrosting, but I have noticed through the updates that the amount of drift that it allows from the set point it varies between the updates. And sometimes I feel like I need to put a blanket over my legs or turn the heat up, or other times I feel that that it's trying to cook me. and it just sometimes it'll change after a while in the same update. So I don't know if it's sensor drift or whoever's job it is to program the HVAC that update is different than the person who did the time before. Yeah. You're just always covered up in that blanket, so you're sweating. Yeah. She always wears her winter coat and her blanket together. All right, let's see. Which results in less reduced heating strength unless I go for manual override. Another thing to check is both filters. The cabin filter should be changed every 4 years. I'm sorry, every year or every 2 years. Sorry, and the HVAC filter, the one under the bioweapon filter under the front, should be changed every 4 years. even though they don't have a maintenance schedule anymore. Yay! Yeah. Uh, I used to have to go back up. Used to back the heat off within 2 minutes and then turn it down from 81 after 5 minutes. Are you preheating? I usually, if it's really cold, I'll preheat from the app, especially because I don't like to have to wait for the defrost to take effect. Tesla nuts in the filters too. I don't have bio, but I need to get the cabin filter changed. Yeah, absolutely, because the cabin filter is the last one, and it's always on. Well, whereas the bio is not always on. I got my latest bio filter from Omu. I've got a link down in the description when I got my lithium swap for the 12-volt battery because I'm no longer in the comprehensive warranty, and I was able to recycle the frame. But if you don't already have a frame, I don't know if they have a kit for that. If you don't already have the frame, and then you'll need a specialist to update the software in the gateway and tell it that you've got the filter installed. Anders says, "Good evening. Good evening, Anders. All the way from Stockholm." Yes. And let's see. So the next one we've got is from Tesla themselves. So let's share this one, and then we can finish closing the extra tweets. All right. So this one was some more mixed news. Yeah, it was mixed. So Tesla was guiding for 50% improvement. They only got 40% improvement, but that's still a lot, especially when you look at the competition. Yeah, especially when you look at the competition because they did not do so well for the most part. So let's see what they have to say in their press release here. This is for quarter four and for all of the year 2022. So SNX, they only did 20,613 with 17,147 delivered. The rest were probably on ships to Europe and China because they finally restarted deliveries in Europe and China, and 9% of those were leased. And I think we did the math last time, and they can make no maintenance. They can make 104,000 S's and X's. So for the year, they made 71,177, of which 66,705 were delivered. So they're at roughly 60% of capacity delivered, or 70% ish built. I say ish because I'm rounding down that 4 just because I like head math. All right, Model 3 and Y, they did 419,088 in quarter 4, with 388,131 delivered, with 4% leased. I think the reason we're seeing less leases overall now is now that the S and X are subject to the same lease restrictions as a Model 3 and Y, where you can't buy out your lease, you can't sell your lease. It's a lot less appealing. Baby, you get my monitor wet. You're lucky I got screen cleaners. And so for the year, the SNX they made 1.298 million and delivered 1.24 million. Oh, don't touch my tongue. Oh, so let's see. For total for the year in cars was 1.369 million, with 1.313 million delivered. And while we're in here, we're gonna go back for a second and check out. See, let's not go back. Let's do this. Let's duplicate this tab. We don't even need to duplicate. Let's open a new tab and look at the last quarterly report because it tells us. Oh, I guess I did need to duplicate the tab. It took me to regular Tesla. Let's look and see what they said they could do. Yeah. Mm-mm. All right, so they got the shareholder deck for Q4 22. Let go of my ear, please. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna share this tab instead. So for SNX, they have a capacity of 100,000. So I guess that extra 4,000 assumes they'll be down for 1 week or 2 weeks because they build 2,000 a week of SNX. And for the Model 3 and Y in Fremont, they can do 550,000 a year. Shanghai Model 3 and Y can do over 750,000. And Berlin can do over 250,000 Model Ys, as well as Texas. So they're not even running at their full power or full strength. You haven't even seen my final form. Ah. Yeah, yeah. So it'll be curious to see when they hit these numbers, but not just these numbers, because they've also got improvements that are constantly being made to both Berlin and Texas. And then Shanghai has started some new projects. So we will see what happens next. And then Cybertruck has also changed to tooling. I think we touched on this last time around. It used to say something like in development. And Nevada now says early production for Tesla Semi on Q4. And I'm guessing, based on what we discussed on the Tesla Life, that either they're under some threshold for reporting requirements, or for some other reason they were able to not say that they made 36 or more Tesla semis and delivered them. So the only other speculation I had on that was that they might not have been paid for them, but that's not quite how Tesla works. Patrick brought up a good point and said that perhaps they had a special agreement with Pepsi because Pepsi was doing basically beta testing for them, and not displaying the numbers for that would allow them to not share the details of the deal until they get some other customers receiving the Tesla semis. So if we still don't have any delivery showing in Q1, and they are delivering trucks, then I'll start to kind of want to dig a little deeper into it. But they say they haven't delivered a single new one, and then they don't show it. Then it's like, are you guys doing this to hide the numbers, or did something go wrong at the factory? We'll see what goes down with that. Maybe I'm thirsty. I've got an open water bottle here. Let's start with that. Want some? My turn. All right. Let's go back to the quarterly report. Well, there goes that water bottle. All right. So January 25th, 2023. So that's a Wednesday, either after or during the Tesla Life, depending on how late Elon is. We will cover the investor report. And then there is a shareholder day on March what? Not seeing it. Let me do a control F. All right, it doesn't say March. They announced it somewhere else then. Don't hold your breath. Doesn't hurt anybody but you. Yeah. All right, let's see. Lance says that he preheats the car every day for 7:30 in the morning. It's always toasty when I get in. The situation I'm describing happens later in the day when I'm getting in for a second or third drive. How close are they to the first drive? And are they also preheated, or I'm wondering if perhaps it just heats better on the plug on this update that you're on. Or perhaps it's is it parked in the garage or facing into or out of, like, what's different aside from literal location on the ground with where it's parked, as far as uh, the environmental heating or extra cooling that it might be receiving? Um, Eddie says, I need to check about my cabin filter 2 years and all. Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Chevrolet might put theirs in miles, but definitely 2 years for sure with the modern cabin filters. I think I did the one on my Volt. The first one I didn't do much of anything except oil changes, but the second one I had for a couple of years, and I did that one 2 or 3 times. Had a Model Y as a loaner, and I loved it so much. I'm going to get one as our second Tesla in several years. Performance edition is gorgeous with the 21 Uber turbines. Yes, I agree. Huh? Yeah. Are you gonna be a dentist? You're obsessed with teeth. You got 4 of your own, you know. You got another one coming in if you want to try and work on that. um, Bennett Elder says, highly recommend Model Y performance with the 21 Uber turbines. You're getting the same metallic gray one that we all bought? That's a good question. Thinking of going red. We have a blue Model X. I like that blue. And the red, oh man, when the red is clean and the sun hits it just right, it is beautiful. Yeah, you're beautiful too. Ah, ah. T-Sport line now makes a 22-inch Uber turbine for the Model X, which is cool. I like the style so much. I'm thinking about getting those. Oh, those must be pretty cool looking as well. There's another one I saw recently on the Model X. I'm trying to recall where I saw it. I think I bookmarked it. But the Cybertruck is coming so close to when I could afford a set of wheels that for the extra to spend a set of wheels, I don't know if I'm gonna do it. Plus, I need it to be 20s because on the Model X, if I jump up to the 22s, then I can no longer tow 5,000 pounds, and I do tow frequently to the point where I've now lost the keys to my to my um, tow bar, so I can't get it off now. I was looking for them the other day. Okay, 22 on a blue Model X would look excellent. I agree. Yes, sweetie. I'd set you on the bed, but you're gonna try and roll off. She crawls right up to the edge and just goes off, or she'll roll a couple times and just go off. So I can catch her, and that doesn't scare her. Well, we don't need her to fall. So you want to play with your toy? Our toy is noisy. Hopefully, so what I did was I taped over all but one of the speaker grill openings, and so she's been picking up the tape. Yeah, yeah. Play with your toy. You want a green square? No, you don't want a green square? I think you're sleepy. Come here. Want to go up? You're strong. All right. All right. You walked over to me. I'm gonna pick you up. Okay. Okay. Here we go. All right. Moving on to finishing the chat, and then we'll go on to the next story. No garage. Second and third drive are usually around 11 and 3 for school drop-offs and pickups. I do not precondition for those drives. Yeah, I think it's definitely the software updates because the behaviors for mine, they just change sometimes, and I never know when to expect it. Tow hitches keys are made by a company from Germany. Oh, see, the problem there is that I don't have the I think was it Bolus? I don't have that one anymore. I switched to one from eTrailer, and so but even so, if I was still using the stock one, the key to the tow bar is the one that goes through the pin, the hole. Uh, I misplaced that key. Um, so I guess I could remove the whole hitch, but I don't want to do that at all. I'd rather either get a locksmith or a really fancy cutting tool. But I think as we move stuff around, the keys will turn up. Let's see. You provide the code, on your key. That's pretty cool. I've still got that one actually. If anybody wants a stock Tesla hitch and the receiver bit, I've got it. They're in storage, but they're not too hard for me to find. But do make sure that if you do install the Tesla hitch, either you already had one before or you get somebody to turn on the software for you because Tesla always said that if you install one without having the software installed, that could tear up your at least rear drive motor, if not both of them. Do you know how much the tow hitch cargo platform and case is best for the X? She wants to pick up kitchen sink on that's for kids. I understand that. I haven't used any actual platforms, but the thing to remember with that is you're limited to um, for the pike rack at least, you're limited to 100 pounds tongue weight, and on the trailer with a stock one, you're limited to 500 pounds. And with the one that I purchased, you're limited to 750 pounds. And in all cases, it's got a tow capacity of 5,000 pounds. Um, I've seen the ones you're talking about. I've seen them with like coolers and stuff on them, and I've also seen them with like Rascals mobility scooters on them. And I just personally don't have any experience with any of them. Yeah, thankfully I've got the keys to the Tesla system in the same box as the detachable hitch, uh, because that was always a fear of mine with that one. And then on this last run in with the U-Haul trailers, I was like, oh yeah, it'll be fine, and it might even be in the car for all I know. I just haven't taken the time to thoroughly look for it. Um, but that would be a problem if I need something bigger than the 2 inch that U-Haul uses. But it's got the three, so I can just rotate it to the 1 inch or the two and a third, 3/4 or something. Does the kitchen sink fit in the front, or is it only a double pan one? I like that. uh, yeah, I've got the motorized trunk on mine, and then somebody pointed out that they had a failure on the motorized trunk on their Model 3, and that it doesn't latch when it's broken. So I'm curious if I need to be concerned with the frunk, motorized frunk on mine. The wife's kitchen sink fits nowhere. Exactly. It's even worse. Like 'cause for her, you've got the reverse-facing car seat, and then you've got the I wouldn't call it compact because it's not. It's just a regular old baby stroller that can take the infant seat, and it takes up literally half of the trunk. And I found out that I could stand it up and push it against the back of the chair, but then one, you can't reach it, and two, it becomes more compelling to put stuff in front of it. So now you've got to play the shuffle. You want to get the stroller out. So yeah, time to buy a camper. Indeed. The problem is for short trips around town, that might not be the best, but I think it would be great to buy a rented camper for the vacations. But we'll see what happens there. We have the Winterfold, which takes up the entire trunk. Comes with a complimentary extension. Wonderful. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. I need to get a new car seat soon enough. Oh, this one. So I found out that you can't use them at Disney, but they look like they'd be so practical. Other than now that you point out that it takes up the whole trunk, that would be not so good unless it's still able to hold stuff while it's in the trunk. But with the one kid, with multiple kids, I think that that would be the way to roll. The good thing is, Cybertruck, the vault is always there, and you don't have to worry about it taking up different space, like on the crossovers with their curvy backs. If somebody would make an electric SUV, like just full on truck body SUV, aside from Rivian does, I think they would do well. A cyber SUV would be cool. I'd be dead by the time we made it to Disney. Good on you, sir. Oh man, yeah. When did we do our last Disney trip? That one was from South Carolina to Orlando, and then we did a bunch of South Carolina and Virginia's to Massachusetts. I think our longest trek was the one we did to South Dakota from Virginia. All right, so let's get back on the articles. Let's close the Tesla investor relations. Yeah, Cybervan I think would be awesome, but I don't want a cyber minivan. I want a cyber uh, freight van, passenger like shuttle bus, church van. Yes, because then you know what I'm going to do with it. Remove the seats and then make a project out of it. All right, what is this? So we talked about Tesla sales. So now let's talk about global sales for electrics. All right, so this is coming from JPR 07, 007, courtesy of evvolumes.com. So let's see. Worldwide BEV sales for 2022 reached more than 6.7 million vehicles in November. That's not bad, considering that it doesn't even include December. And um, that's everybody. And when you consider that Tesla was fully a seventh of that, or sixth of that, seventh. Let's call it 7 million and say they only did a million, but they did more and it was less than. Either way, we expect the sales to exceed 7.6 million for the year. And this will give the industry 5.3 times since 2018, or nearly 52% per annum. Wow. Note that in 2021 alone, it was 112.7% year over year. Impressive. Monthly sales are now around 800,000 units globally. That's great. And in December, we may reach over 900,000. The industry trend is on track to reach over 1 million sales per month during 2023. That's also incredible, with the possibility of 12 million for 2023. Well, I mean, 1 million times 12, 12 million. I can see that. Share volume has stabilized between three major regions, with Asia remaining dominant with 67.1%. And I've got a hair that fell like in between the t-shirt and my on my neck from when I was shaving this morning, and it's irritating me. um, Followed in Europe by 20.5%, North America being 11.7, and the rest of the world is 0.8%. Asia has reached 4.5 million units for November year to date. Not bad. Sales in Asia are around 500,000 units with an upward trend. Europe is 1.4 million units for November year to date, and monthly sales in Europe are getting close to 200,000 units. That's not bad. North America has reached 780,000 units for November year to date. That's a lot less than I expected for North America. Monthly sales have not yet reached 100,000 units. Really? That's not good. The cumulative number for BEVs supplied globally has now reached about 19 million. If you compare this with our estimate for the global vehicle fleet of 1,650 million vehicles, so 1.65 billion, if I'm reading that right. All vehicles, yeah, okay, yeah, that would work. 1.65 billion, which gives a penetration rate of 1.15%. So worldwide, we've still got work to do. But if you look at like Asia and certain countries in Europe, we're on a really good track. And in the States, even we're over 1%. So it's not bad either. I think it's those 0.8% countries that he was talking about that are dragging it down. And I don't blame them if there's no infrastructure. All right. 8.2% of vehicles sold in the world are now fully electric. It's not bad. All right, so Bennett says Cybervan with flexible seating of the Ram Rev would be next level. Slide in 3 rear rows or slide them out for the best cargo or halfway in between. There you go. Scroll. Why can't you scroll? It doesn't want to scroll. There we go. Those ice trucks are going to drop quickly with how expensive Ford engines are to fix out of warranty. Yes, and then diesels too. They're a little more reliable, but also way more expensive to repair. All right, so let's go back to the notes and see where we are now. All right, so this one is fun. So, like I said last week, there were rumors about Tom Zhu, and I didn't want to get into them simply because they were all rumors, and we know how Tesla is with predictability. So let's look at this tweet, and then we'll go over to Tom Zhu. 2022's most recalled auto brands in the USA. Number 1, Ford. Look at that. Bennett was talking about it. Volkswagen, Daimler Trucks, Stellantis. Number 5, Forest River, which is interesting because they make RVs, trailers, and well, RVs and trailers is all I know they make. We'll look at them in a second. Let's see, General Motors, Mercedes Benz, Kia. So GM would have been fifth if you counted only car makers. But then Navistar wouldn't be on there either. Navistar makes big trucks. Navistar, Hyundai, and number 11 was Tesla, with 75% of them were software fixes, and BMW. Curious of all recalls of Legacy, how many were OTA? That's a good question. The other Omar says 0. I think that 1 or 2 of the Fords were possible to be done OTA. Yep, I've had a few OTA in my Mach-E, although maybe the difference is I had the option or recommendation to take it to the dealer to have it done faster. Okay, I'll give you that. Maybe he's saying exclusively OTA. There were OTA updates that did include fixes, but they were not software updates to fix NHTSA recalls. Okay, I'll give you that. Interesting which ones they roll back and which ones they don't roll back for me on the likes. Forest River makes cargo trailers and RVs. Did GM pay them to be included so they weren't on the top 5? Yeah, I said RVs too. Let's see. Let's go to Forest River real quick and see what else they make. Let's see. As a Super Duty owner, gas, I won't be touching the EV pickups until the towing range is there. F-150 Lightning has largely been a disaster PR-wise after the Hoovies Garage video. So with Hoovies, after they sold it, the battery failed. So I'm wondering if any of that had anything to do with some of the abysmal results they saw, aside from Hoovies' lead foot and the questionable configuration of the trailer itself. But it wasn't a good showing, and Ford didn't really do any good reaching out. They're like, "Hey, here's some tips for cold weather," and they weren't, except for like maybe leave the car plugged in all the time. They weren't really useful tips as far as using it normally. Let's see. It can tow 14,000 pounds, 450 miles on a tank. When I had an F-150, it would tow 11,000 pounds, about 400 miles. Yeah, I'm hoping that the Cybertruck really does have 500 plus miles range unloaded, and then can do 250 to 350 with a decent load on it. They say they can tow up to, at least 14,000 pounds, but I'm curious now with the 4th motor if that will increase any of their specs. I really hope it does. Hoofy couldn't tow a 3,500 pound 70 miles with Lightning. Correct. He had some issues with that. I feel like it'd be fine if plugged in overnight. Transport Evolved did a good reply to that. Yes, they did. What annoys me is that they moved the radiator for the frunk and you can't attach a plow. Oh, I didn't know that. I wonder if you could do like the Frugal Tesla guy, I think it's him, and attach a plow in the rear. I don't know how ergonomic that would be for a serious plow driver, but like for somebody who just has to clear a couple driveways, it might be something to look into. For it's difficult weather, stay inside. Yes. Don't drive. I think the Cybertruck will be a slam dunk. I think the delay was possibly associated with adopting some lessons learned from the Tesla Semi division. I really hope so. I have a very good feeling about the Cybertruck. Me too. And to all the people saying, "Oh, I'll believe it when I see it. It's not here yet." Aside from Eddie, who has a very good reason to be skeptical about these future products, everybody else who's saying this, like who's saying it like a gotcha, like Elon doesn't know how to tell time. He's not good with calendars or clocks. Or okay, so I say that, but I don't I don't use that as a reason to think the Cybertruck's not coming. But there are people who literally believe it's not real, despite the fact that yet another large piece. I forgot to put that in the show notes. Another large piece of the GigaPress was delivered this past week, and they've already started hiring. In fact, they put out more job listings for people to put the thing together. So I think that they'll be all right with making Cybertruck, and I would say that unless something comes up, that they'll be out this year. I just don't know if they'll be early, like Elon seems to believe, or if they'll be on time, like the company states, or something else entirely. But again, this is a company that can't be bothered to pay for telephones for or outward facing telephones for all the service advisors. So I don't imagine they would have engineers and assembly workers just twiddling their thumbs. So I'd say that the truck production start is imminent, at least for the certification vehicles, the crash tests, and those sorts of things. Let's see. Zach and Jesse cover the plow. That's good. I'll need to check out that episode. Did you guys notice the Silverado EV is starting base model sales to fleet only next year? Interesting strategy. I think they learned something from Ford going flashy right away. That's a good point because Ford did have their work trucks available right away, but they also had consumer sales going at the same time, and consumers could buy the work truck. So that would mean that Chevy is doing more like the Tesla Semi and kind of keeping it out of the public eye while they do the shakedown. It's a strong strategy. It's not good for like um, people buzz. It's not good for people talking about you, but it's good that way when you do put out the consumer product that you don't have any more Hoovy events. Hopefully, uh, let's see. And then they've also got a little bit of experience. They've got the Hummer EV. That's low volume. That's you don't see too many people uh, talking about it or doing much with it. I guess in that price bracket, they have other things to do than make YouTube videos. But you'll see that a couple of YouTubers have borrowed one, or the company loaned them one, or Hoovy's case apparently bought one. We'll see what happens with that one. I'm curious. Let's see. So it doesn't manufacture Class B camper vans. Forest River makes all other types of RVs, including Class A, Class C. Oh, they don't make Class Bs. You're right. Travel trailers, fifth wheels, toy haulers, camping trailers, and small RVs, destination trailers. But what about the cargo trailers? Pretty sure I've seen Forest River work truck before when I was looking for a couple of Class 6 EV trucks. Um, let's see, corporate. Pontoon boats. Didn't realize they made pontoon boats and commercial vehicles. Okay, so what I need to do is, oh, they're Berkshire Hathaway company. Didn't realize that. Pontoon boats, cargo trailers, and commercial vehicles. Okay, so I was aware of the commercial vehicles, like that guy there, and I didn't realize they made school buses, but that makes sense. And in fact, I've seen a couple of their school buses while I was looking for those trucks, and I knew about all of their RVs. Didn't notice they didn't make Class B. All right, huh. That's pretty cool. Let's close this extra search tab and see what you guys are saying, and then we'll go on to the next thing. Um, I think they're going flashy right away, and learning from it was just bad to summer. Yeah, because then they can keep it low volume, and people who spend over $200,000 on a truck are going to be less likely to bash it in public because then it looks like they are bad consumers. uh, everybody's on the same page. Yep. Do you foresee Tesla capping electricity price at supercharging stations? I pay 4.8 cents per kilowatt hour at home. Paying 37 cents at a supercharger is about as much as I can smile at. Uh, I think this year we may see something with them and the supercharger pricing, especially if any other providers aside from EVgo and ChargePoint do the NACS connector. Which reminds me, let me try and schedule the CCS update on my car again. It didn't work yesterday. Stand by. Surface. CCS retrofit. appointments for the CCS Combo 1 adapter retrofit are currently unavailable. Check back in January or early 2023. So I think I've got that in the show notes. Somebody was able to schedule it, and it was very reasonably priced. But with the semi, they had promised 7 cents per kilowatt hour um, during the sales pitch, and then, as I said, with the other folks coming on board with the same connector, I think there will be enough competition that, assuming that the other networks improve their reliability, that if Tesla wants to do this as a business, they'll have to bring their pricing in line. And I think with Tesla now being officially an electric company in Texas and working on it in several other states, they may get to the point where they're not as susceptible to the wild price swings that are coming from this Russian situation where they are messing up the energy prices worldwide. And I think this might be the year that we see Tesla address the pricing for the consumers on the supercharging, as well as come out with an official statement with whether they're keeping the 7 cents a kilowatt hour on the semis or doing something different, because it is 3 years from when they first showed it off. 3, 5. 6 years since they showed off the semi truck, and prices have there's been some inflation since then. So I'm curious where they end up, and hopefully they come up with something stable. Because right now I've got free supercharging for life, but I don't know how I'm going to feel about towing with the Cybertruck at the mercy of the local prices, and I don't want to have to stay up till 11 o'clock at night to go plug in. Here it's 7 cents per kilowatt hour, but then they add the fuel cost, so it's basically 15 now. Whoa. Let's see. What is the benefit of installing the retrofit? I mean, if this is strictly out of curiosity, why would one want to go to a non-Tesla station? So for me, um, I've already got like a plethora of level 2 connectors, and I bought the Tesla kit. I didn't get any of the extras, and I've got the Chatamo adapter, which may or may not work after the update. But what I didn't realize was that stations that have the NAX connector um, but aren't superchargers, they will only speak power line, which my car only speaks um, CAN bus. And so I'll be able to plug in, but I won't be able to charge at a station that has the Tesla plug that doesn't have the Tesla logo on it. And I don't want to end up in the case like in Europe um, where if I don't get the adapter, I'll see my available places to charge shrinking aside from Tesla superchargers. So even if I don't use the CCS adapter, I would like to have the car be able to talk to the stations that have been retrofitted to have the NACS connector, and that's my biggest concern there. That and it being so affordable that uh, it's just kind of good insurance that should I end up in my sister lives in a supercharger desert. There's one and it's in the wrong direction, and so every trip to go see her from it adds an hour or two to come back from wherever I am, unless it's my house in South Carolina where there are superchargers on the way. But anywhere else in the country where I want to come back from her house means a trip in the wrong direction and a hefty supercharge from anywhere from 15 to 20% to something that I can get to the next station with. And again, it's a desert, so there's like the minimum amount of stations available. So if I could just go over to the Walmart or the mall or whatever and just use a third party charger in the correct direction at a decent speed, I think that would be worth it. Speaking of that CCS adapter, works great with AutoCharge Plus. I just wish the cable didn't weigh so much on the Tesla port. I agree. Those things are chonkers. Uh, If you think those are bad, you should try the Chatamo adapter. That thing is a monster. Uh, Plus, on top of the monster that is the Chatamo adapter, you've got the actual Chatamo handle, which is just as bad as a CCS handle and cable. Like every time I plug that thing in, I'm like, ooh, that doesn't look good for the port. Um, Prices, availability as adoption grows, as the mythical section of the country working with CCS and no superchargers. There are a few places like where Tesla. I don't know if they're being petty or if the dealer lobbies are making it hard for Tesla to get their approvals. Like I said, most of South Carolina doesn't have enough chargers, and and they don't have any service centers because it's illegal. I mean, it is no. They've taken a terrible to the dealership interpretation of saying it's illegal um, when it was reviewed. So and then you look at I'm not sure about the charging situation in Michigan, but similar situation with getting repairs done there, and a couple other states are just totally good old boys networks. Yeah, that spot exists. Greetings, Timothy. Good to see you. Buy his book. Lance said, I asked Tesla last week when I was at the service center if I want to replace my 75D battery with a 100, can it be done? They did not know. I always thought 75D was just three quarters of a 100D. Uh, Depending on when it was built, yes. Another thing to look at is it does weigh more, so you'll have to adjust your suspension to get the 100D. But with a Model X, you already have the smart air suspension, so at that point, they just have to program in the correct battery, so the car will do the adjustment for you. And what I would do is I would look at WKO57. Let's take a look over there real quick. It's at 057 Tech. So let me paste the link in the chat and ask them for if they'll do an update on your car. There's nothing physically stopping it from happening, but there may need to be a retrofit of some connectors. And like for instance, if your car was like a 70D, 60D, or certain 60s, or a 85 or 85D, um, then some of them could only go up to a 90 pack just because of the way that they are built. But I would say if he can get you done, it's not going to be cheap, but it'll be cheaper than Tesla if Tesla will even do it. Mhm. All right, let me close that. Go back to the picture that you guys are looking at because you guys aren't looking at his website. Well, I mean, you're not looking at it on my screen over here. um, and it's a 2016. Okay, not bad. Is yours a 2016 AP1 or AP2? I'm curious. 16 available AP2? I think it was at the end of the year. I figure by the time the battery goes bad, they will have to replace the battery with something newer is still in production. So yours is like mine, where you've got an 8-year unlimited mile warranty, but 057 Tech does also offer a warranty. Uh, so if you get a data device and plug it into your car, when your warranty runs out, your Tesla warranty runs out, so at the 8-year mark, they will kick in a warranty on their side, um, where they'll replace your battery for a deductible, which when I was reading through it, it seems like a really good deal. They don't try that cell clipping stuff or try to replace just a module. They put a whole new pack in, and he's been doing this for darn near since 2012, so maybe longer. So I've met him a couple times at the service center of all places, and I've been keeping track of him on social media, and I like his work. AP1, solid. I had AP1 on my model 2016 Model S, and on that one it was a 90D, same situation, 8-year limited mile warranty. And at some point, I didn't get an error, but I just had the car just lose major percentage points of charge just sitting there. It went from parked in the green to parked in the yellow to parked in the red um, in under 15 minutes. And they asked, "Hey, when can you come back to Charlotte and have us take a look at it?" So I got to Charlotte, and they said, "All right, we've given you a loaner pack. See you in a month." And then as I got home, they're like, "Hey, just keep that loaner pack. It's new anyway, so there you go." And it had about 2 or 4 miles range less than the one I turned in said it did. Um, but it was no charge to me, and it was still under the factory warranty. Something about those 90Ds. I just never cared for the original several batches of that. All right, check it out. And let's see here. Yeah, a loaner pack. So, rather than me leave my car in there for months, Tesla at the time they would just keep a 90 pack just in the shop, and they would just put it in somebody's car like, "Hey, don't forget to bring this back, and we'll get you your new one." So if they do that, it's going to depend on the service center and how many battery repairs they have to do. Because obviously, if they only have one or two and they've loaned them both out, then they don't have anything for you to borrow. They do loaner wheels as well. So if you have a situation where you have a tire calamity, they will loan you one of their wheels while you wheel and tires while you get yours repaired, which is pretty cool. It has a big old Tesla T on one of the spokes. At least they don't make it puke yellow like Toyota does with their spare tires. Ugh. All right, so Tesla's Tom Zhu, as I was saying, I didn't want to talk about it before because it was just rumors, and the rumors turned out to be wrong. They were close, but they were wrong. So Tom Zhu is not going to be Tesla's Gwen Shotwell. He is going to take over North America's sales, service, and deliveries, which I hope means that the service will become consistently across the board, like mobile service, because mobile service is like a dream to deal with, and some service centers are almost as good. Other service centers are like, this is worse than the worst fossil uh, service situation I've ever had. And I've had some really bad Tesla service experiences, but they cannot compare to the first fossil experience I tried to have on the Chevy Volt outside of the dealership where I bought it and works. Um, so I rolled into a South Carolina Tesla dealer that wasn't in the town where I bought the thing, and I tried 4 times to rolled into each of the different dealerships, and only one of them was willing to do a diagnosis and then order the parts. All the others wanted me to drop the car off. Some would give me a loaner. One wanted me to drop the car off and get a rental to get a quote to come pick up my car, to wait for the parts, to come back and get a loan or not a loaner, a rental from them again. And like they did not want to touch the Volt. And whew, the same situation when I was going to sell the Model S. They didn't want to touch it. Not just that Chevrolet dealer, but nobody in Charleston wanted. Oh, that's where it was. Nobody in Charleston wanted to buy the car, except for the Ford dealer where I had originally bought the Model S from. It was used when I bought it, lightly used, originally from Chicago. But yeah, so I've had some doozies of Tesla service. I only had one bad mobile service. I worked in a secure facility at the time where you couldn't bring in your phones, and so my phone was in the car. I told them call my desk when they arrived so that I could, get them past the security guards. And whoever put the note in for mobile service didn't make sure that that actually made it onto the section of the request that the mobile tech could see. So she called my cell phone a bunch of times and showed up at my house instead of actually at the well, not my house, but my apartment at the instead of at the office. And so I never did get the service. I called back, said, "Hey, what the heck's going on?" They looked at it. They said, "Oh, she would have never seen these notes." And so then they made a new appointment with the office phone number with the correct address, and then the guy did show up, called me. I got the security to either let them in or get a place where I could bring the car out to do service because I did one of each, and um, and then that was just a regular mobile service, other than the the extra steps of security there. And so that was the only less than positive experience I'd ever had with mobile service, and it was just because at the time I thought none of my instructions were followed, but really what happened was they didn't know, and so that service center, as far as I know, has never made that mistake again because they realized there was two different screens or something. But that was fun. So anyway, I would like to see the service center experience to be at a minimum at least half as good as a mobile service experience, if not on par. Because it's really like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Like uh, if you've only ever dealt with mobile service and then you deal with one of the not as good service centers, it's like, are these the same company? What is going on? Why? Whoa! And then of course when you get with the good ones, like the one that we always used to have to deal with, the one that gave us the loaner pack. They were always treating us great. The only time I had a complaint about them was when the parking sensors in the nose cone, the connectors were rusted, and so there was a intermittent failure on my cruise control and my park system because the connections were rusty. And so mobile service found out they were bad, ordered new parts with the paint. Uh, Parts department there received them without the paint, and also, oh, so they had them without the paint. So then they reordered them with the paint, and then they had me show up to do the work. So I showed up, and then the service advisor tried auto park. It worked. I'm canceling it and sending him back. So he canceled it, sent the parts back before I could. I got my car back, and the very first day, the next day at work, um, they failed again because they didn't do anything. They were still rusty. And so the mobile tech was very upset with them, and he fixed it internally. I went back one more time after they had reordered painted parts, and then they put them in the car, and all was good. But that was, I think, the worst experience I had with that one. They were one of the better ones. They did a great job. They even when they had the high volumes. Another one that I had in Virginia, they started out really poorly, and like just a hair above that Chevrolet dealer that didn't want to touch my Volt and wanted me to pay money for them to not touch my Volt. Um, they got a lot better over time. They were, you could see them working on it, and then not working on your car, but you could see them working on their quality of service. And then what really kind of gave them the biggest step change for me was when they had another service center open nearby to help alleviate some of their load because they were overworked, always overworked. And then once that other service center opened up, they still weren't perfect, but they felt normal. And then after that, they able to continue their progress. And I didn't feel bad about my very last service with them. In fact, it was a situation where they thought it was going to take 2 days, and so they gave me a loaner, and which was awesome because they'd been giving me Uber credits, and of course now you don't even get Uber credits, which is just ridiculous. Uh, um, I guess that also the Uber credits depends on your service center again. Like there's no consistency, unfortunately. But that last one was pretty good, and they had me out in a day. I brought their car back, and the work was good. All right, so uh, I would like to see somebody who is able to look past whatever middlemaning is happening, that the service centers are not able to be consistent and fix it so that they are uh, a level of quality that you would expect. And I think that what we saw with Tomzu and Shanghai means that this may happen pretty quickly in North America, which is good. Let's see. Report was widely circulated. It would be noted that Ping West was found guilty of spreading fake news about Tesla in China. Tesla board member testified that CEO identified someone as a potential successor during the months of the last few months. Interview with Financial Times in May, Musk said that he would stay at Tesla as long as I can be useful. And so I guess that those were why people thought that Mr. Zhu would be a Gwen Shotwell or replacing Elon. But that's not what happened. Doesn't mean that it's not what's going to happen. It certainly could happen. Elon hasn't been making people happy with the stock on some ends. Other folks are like, "Hey, I'm in it for the long haul." I do have a handful of Tesla shares that I'm not planning to sell anytime soon. So, for those who don't know, Tom Zhu is a New Zealand citizen. That's pretty cool because um, I've heard some nasty things about China and Mr. Zhu. Uh, all unfounded, and they were all just basing the fact that he came from Tesla China and his name is Zhu. That they, um, I don't want to say xenophobia. It was more like China-phobia. Like, we're not on the best of terms with that country, and if he's not actually from there, that actually is a bonus. Uh, as is the founding engineer of Tesla, Ian Wright. Yeah, I didn't remember that Ian was from New Zealand. That's right. He was raised in China. Okay. He only switched to New Zealand after going to school there. Okay. Is this the guy where there's a video about working at a stand-up desk in the factory floor at Giga Shanghai? If so, he's the right guy to run operations everywhere. Thanks for posting links. It's great insight into China ways. Musk is clearly impressed by the Shanghai team. Yeah, and this also reminds me that there are teams from Giga Shanghai in Fremont and Giga Austin to help them with their respective ramps. You may say, "Oh, well, Fremont is already ramped." Yes, they are, but they are getting ready to revamp at least one or two Model Y lines or install one or two new Model Y lines to further their progress. All right, so let's go on to another article. All right, good. So no Twitter links for a minute. All right, so I've opened a couple. Let's go on over here to share this tab instead. All right, so renewables powered nearly 23% of electricity as of October 2022 in the United States. Not bad. All right, let's take a look and see what data they give us here. Almost 23% during the first 10 months of 2022. The final issue of the 2022 EIA Power Monthly, released in December, contains data through October 31st that reflects renewable wind, utility, and rooftop solar, geothermal, hydropower, and biomass. Increased output by 14.26%. Incredible. Over compared to the same 10-month period in 2021. So year over year. By comparison, electrical generation by all sources combined grew 3.14%, which makes sense. You get the stay-at-home situation, you've got the recovery of the supply line and manufacturing, excuse me, as well as onshoring of a lot of jobs that we had previously offshored. So 3% before the IRA even took in place, before the IRA even took hold. That's not so bad. Solar alone increased 26.23%, and year to date surpassed 5% overall, providing 5.05% through the end of October. For perspective, solar's year to date stake reached 1% in March. Yeah, so I had at my townhouse that I rented recently, I had a couple battery packs and some solar panels, and they were portable solar panels, and they made a dent in the utility bill. They ran my whole office, this whole streaming setup. Let's see here. Electrical generation by wind expanded 16.86%, providing 9.8% of the total electric generation for a 10-month period, which is nice. I like to roll through the western states and midwestern states and see, well, mostly western states. I see the windmills. It looks like they're doing gymnastics just as you're driving by. Let's see. Did they say anything about any other types? Renewables collectively outproduce both coal and nuclear by 16.62% and 27.39% respectively. However, natural gas continues to dominate with 39.4% share of generation. So in the state where my house is located, it's mostly nuclear, followed up by natural gas, followed up by um, solar, both utility and rooftop. And you can find this at I believe the Department of Energy has a web page of that. It might be EPA, but I want to say it's Department of Energy has it. And uh, it's kind of. I'd like to see more nuclear than we do. Instead, it looks like there's actually more coal than nuclear. Um, when you consider how much more the renewables produce than either, the renewables produce more a higher percentage than nuclear, which means that the coal is outclassing the nuclear by a little bit. Um, nuclear is it's got issues, but it's better than many of the alternatives, and I would like to see that over natural gas. But maybe we can just get more renewables and then just turn everything else off. Just a good mix of renewables. We'll see. And I think it'll be easier as you get the mega packs and their competitors built up to help with utility scale grid storage and balancing. Lance says, I would like a NASA micro nuclear reactor for my Tesla. Yeah, as long as either it's at the home recharging the Tesla or that it's like collision proof when it's in the car. That would be what I'd like to see with that. Let's see. All right, so this is another copy of the same article. Did I click it twice? No, no. Okay, so this is Tom Zhu from Electrek. That's what that was. So moving on to speaking of renewable grid scale batteries, uh, we've got the Tesla Megapack powered project at Queensland. Green Power Hub is given a green light for construction. All right, so this is going to be Neon's fourth big battery system in Australia, and will bring Neon's total battery capacity in operation or under construction around the world to 6 gigawatts, like instantaneous power output, 6 gigawatts. And they plan to achieve 10 gigawatts by 2025. I wonder how many gigawatt hours of storage that is. The France-based renewable project announced late December that notices to proceed were issued to Tesla and UGL to begin construction of the 200 megawatt, 400 megawatt hour Western Downs battery factory, which will utilize Tesla Megapack systems. So if we use that 2-to-1 ratio, which is not for all of the deployment because they had various sizes before this, and I think they still have various sizes. I think you can pick the large and the small. But let's just say it was 2-to-1. So that would be 20 gigawatt hours of storage if we were to do the 2-to-1. And 12 gigawatt hours currently. That's a lot of power and a lot of batteries. Megapacks leverage the existing infrastructure of the company's Western Downs Green Power Hub. Part of the infrastructure includes a 460 megawatt photovoltaic solar farm that is almost complete. Awesome. Solve my cabinet issues. Yes, it would. Oh, you'd have to be very diligent about keeping really clean water in it. Um, I think the future is very little grid usage, each house on a power wall and solar shingles. Yeah, so one of the things that I was talking to my wife about recently was having us purchase some land out in South Dakota and put not necessarily a farm, but put a little homestead out there, like with something like a boxable, some sort of modular home, and then put a ground mount solar system out front. And then if we're in a windy parcel, maybe a windmill. I don't know if we will be or not. And then maybe some rainwater. Just totally minimize our footprint. And I mean, when you look at our house in South Carolina, it's a almost 8 kilowatt system, and the people who are there now, they've had one utility bill all year, and it was well under $100. And the utility company prior to that, they had sent me a bill because I didn't change anything out of my name because it's still my house. Uh, um, they they had said that it was like an average of $4 a month for electric and natural gas or methane, and I thought that was pretty cool. And in fact, let's do the math on it now and see what their current. Let's see, 12. 121 divided by 12. So it was $4.6 a month for 2022. Not bad. It is sized for an electric sedan, so it was good with the Model S, but we did have bills with the Model X when I had a daily commute. But since I don't have a daily commute anymore, we'll see what happens when we return later this year. And then we'll get started on some of our projects. I purchased a domain about Wanderlust. Let's just call it that. And then, of course, at some point, we'll have to save up for some land and a structure, and we'll talk about that as it arrives. Um, but I've already got. Let's see, how many kilowatt hours of batteries have I got? 3.3, 3.3 or 3.6? I think 3.6 times 6. I've got 21.6 kilowatt hours currently. Plus, I think 4.6. I'll have 26.2 by the time we get back. And then, if moving to Virginia didn't nullify the 2 power walls they owe me, then Tesla owes me 2 power walls. That's another 14 and change times 2. That'll be fun. That'll be fun indeed. And I've got an additional over 400 watts of solar, but they're all portable, so I can't really. I'm gonna find a way to deploy them. Because as long as the extra panels aren't feeding the grid, then my power company can't say jack. Well, they will say jack because they already tried constantly to get me to remove 2 panels, and I'm not gonna do that. Hell nah. So another thing I see happening, in addition to being little grid usage, I think microgrids are going to be a thing. Kind of like you saw a little bit of it in as a plot point in the Walking Dead. They had this facility outside of DC. They installed a microgrid, and we're starting to see that with some of the we've talked about them already, where some of these new developments they all have power walls. They all have some kind of solar, either Tesla solar or somebody else's. And the next step is to put a mega pack in the middle of the common area, or 3. And depending on the size of the neighborhood, I think that might be something I want to look into. Build a small neighborhood, hook it up to the mega pack of solar. Okay, we'll see what happens there. Because by the time I'm ready to do that, somebody might have already done it. We'll see, and it won't have to be a luxury because I think that's part of the problem is everybody's focused on luxury, and so that's why we don't see it spreading as fast as it could. All right, so let's see. They have a 300 megawatt hour, 450 megawatt. Sorry, 300 megawatt, 450 megawatt hour. See, that's why I said you can't do 2 to 1 because they didn't all used to be. The Victorian big battery, I think that was the first largest one that Tesla had the bet on. Bet you we can do it. Bet you can, or it's free. Okay. And they did, and it wasn't free because they did it. 150 megawatt, 193 megawatt hour Hornsdale plant. And oh, wait, that might be the one. Either way, one of those two was the first one. 100 megawatt, 200 megawatt hour capital battery in Australian Capital Territory under construction. So I don't know if the Geelong or Tesla Big Battery South Australia was first. I'm gonna say it was this middle one. The Big Battery South Australia was first. All right. And then in December, Tesla confirmed that the Megapack factory in Lathrop is capable of producing 10,000 Megapacks per year. And Elon has noted several times that Tesla Energy has the potential to be larger than its EV business, which I can see happening. Megapack is sold out until Q3 of 2024, which we talked about either last week or the week before. So let's give that a thumbs up. Which will utilize Tesla's Megapack battery systems consisting of Megapack systems. No. Elon chooses Chinese national. No, he's not. He's New Zealand, as we just talked about. Uh, yeah, Elon's not from the U.S. either. Uh, I wonder what he means there. I haven't actually tried to mess with the discuss systems yet. Um, mm, all right. Wow. Like seriously, are these your comments? All right, I'm done with their comments for now. That was something else. I need to open some more articles. That's what I need to do. So these ones I've indented because they are a series of stories. So let me open them up, copy the tweet. All right, and then open this follow up. All right, here we go. Get ready for an adventure. All right, let's switch to this tab. I guess it might not be such. I don't might not need. Well, I still need the tweet, but I might not need the update from the mainstream news that I pulled up. Um, so this one started out as a wow, super safe thing, and then wow, can't believe that this happened again. Uh, so let's start. Two children are unharmed, and parents suffer non-life-threatening injuries after a Tesla Model Y falls 250 feet down a steep cliff. So from up here at the top of Devil's Slide down to next to the ocean at low tide, right there, that white object is a Model Y. This is taken from the rescue helicopter. They retrieved the children with ropes and then airlifted the parents out. So the person points out that Model Y has a five. Is this Darren? Yeah, Darren points out that Tesla Model Y has a perfect 5-star rating. And what I mean by that, because you can say, oh, a lot of cars have 5-star ratings. No big deal. Every sub point is a 5-star rating, not just the overall. And it's one of the safest cars ever tested. That high level of safety was on display, full display, after a serious crash in California on Monday, where a Model Y carrying a family of 4 veered off Highway 1 at Devil's Slide in San Mateo, tumbling down 250 feet down a steep cliff before coming to rest on a rocky section of beach. Initial media reports after the accident occurred said the family, which included a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old, suffered serious injuries and were airlifted to a hospital. After seeing just how steep the cliff is and the condition of the Model Y after the accident, the outcome would have been miraculous in and of itself and a testament to the high level quality of Tesla vehicles. All right, let's say the next thing after we read the update. So, according to ABC7, Julian Glover, California Highway Patrol, San Francisco, they've arrested the driver of the vehicle. Based on their investigation, the driver intentionally drove off the side of the cliff. As a result, he has been charged with attempted murder and child abuse. You can read more at the link. So this is a close-up of the Model Y after the incident. It's like debris that came out of the hatch. All right, so there we can see the hatch. Looks like maybe the rescuers pushed it up, or maybe it just flung that way. You can see that it looks a mess. At some point, I'm gonna have a video or something, and you'll see that the B pillars are intact. Um, let's see. Let's go with Timothy's comment, and then we'll go see what Lance had to say. Every screenwriter in Hollywood started a new screenplay after they heard about that crash. Absolutely. Um, I think the future is very little grid usage. Oh yeah, we talked about that. It shifted on my screen. That's why I didn't realize it was the same comment. All right. So however, the outcome is even better than that. The sheriff's office later announced that 2 adults suffered non-life-threatening. Is nothing short of a miracle they survived, let alone walk away without serious injury. This afternoon, deputies responded to a solo vehicle over the side of Highway 1 south of the Tom Lantos Tunnel. 2 adults suffered non-life-threatening injuries, and the 2 children were unharmed. Tremendous collaborative effort between SMSO, California Highway Patrol Golden Gate, and CAL FIRE SAU. So here we see some photos from the event. And is that the wife or the husband? In the footage taken by KTVU, we can see one of the parents still inside the car after the accident, signaling for help. Realizing the serious nature of the accident, first responders decided to use rope to hoist the 2 children from the scene, one of which can be seen being carried by a rescuer after being removed from the Tesla. Aww. And all right, let's zoom through this and see if we can get a side view of the car.
Family of
Anyway, the point of the B-pillars is that they are made of high-strength steel, and they were perfectly intact throughout this. So let's go to the tweet. This tweet is from one of the rescuers. Brock Somerset says, Elon Musk got me seriously wanting to buy a Tesla. Was on this rescue, 250 feet off Devil Slide. All occupants survived. Look at how long, like, they cut it, and look how long he's been sending there.
Okay, looks like they're ready. Same thing. Here we go. Let's stop.
Okay, there you go. You can see that basically the car is still car-shaped, even though it's a lot flatter than it was. So we can't pause it. There's the under tray. Some other stuff.
2, 1, what is yours? You can offset to the back. Okay, power control, you're good. Offset. You're offset, yeah. Keep backing up, main and tail clear. Okay, coming up.
There it is. I was trying to pause it, but my spacebar trick didn't work.
50 out. 40 out. 10 out.
One of the parents.
Come up to the bottom skid. Don't cable. Keep sliding left. Good. Keep him left. Good. 3, 2. He's at 20 feet.
One of
Keep
the
him left.
slides I
Run. Touch
saw,
the ground, right?
somebody had questioned, how do you know that it was an attempted murder, etc.? And everyone survived. So there were 3 witnesses. And I thought that was a weird question. However, you see a car that looks like that, and maybe you might have assumed no survivors. I'm hoping that that's what was going through the questioner's head. Bennett says, reminds me of Kent C. Dodds getting T-boned at 80 miles an hour and only breaking his teeth and I think his arm. Yeah, that's what I was going to get into, but I wanted to wait until after I mentioned that this was intentional. We've seen several suicide attempts with the Tesla. One, I believe, was like a movie plot sort of thing that wasn't real, where they tried the typical, car in the garage running way. Doesn't work on a Tesla. And then several other real ones where people tried to force collisions or also go off cliffs, and they weren't really successful. One, the guy did die in the hospital, so I guess that could have been successful, but he didn't die for hours after the fact. It was like he was rescued. They just weren't able to keep him intact. Then we've seen like where somebody tries to road rage against a Tesla and they hurt themselves instead. Uh, I like to point back to the Honda Accord that rear-ended a Model S, and everybody in the Honda died, and nobody in the Tesla S Model S was injured at all. So the whole fleet continues to make safest car in the world records. It's not the one that you want to try this in. Uh, Hopefully, the children aren't traumatized, and hopefully, the wife is able to get um, the mental treatment she needs, and hopefully, whatever they do to the husband, he gets some mental treatment before or after, during whatever it is they're going to do to him for that. That's right, K10. Wilfred says, "Wait, you were one of the heroes today, saving the family. Amazing. Thank you for all you do." As a first responder, imagine going down there expecting fatalities and finding everyone alive and well. What a miracle! Absolutely. Yeah. Anyone who keeps saying that, oh, the Cybertruck isn't going to pass um, the regs, these people have been building cars for over 10 years now. Uh, they they know how to pass a safety test. So yeah, the prototypes might not be able to pass because of the way they're constructed, but they're not for sale. They're prototypes. Um, the final product will pass the internal and external safety tests. From a different perspective from the above on the cliff. Okay. Good luck and a good card. Absolutely. Elon Musk liked your tweet. Yeah, he did. So they didn't have much of the updates. Let's go to CBS here. And uh, the driver of the Tesla arrested for attempted murder. And I guess it's a video update. No, it's climate change. Can I close this? All four survived and were transported. Documents didn't specify what the relationship was to him, but the Highway Patrol later identified him as wife and children. And he's still being treated for his injuries, but will be booked into San Mateo jail once he's released from the hospital. Investigators worked throughout the night, interviewing witnesses and gathering evidence from the scene. Oh, that's the other thing right there. Some of these other ones were before AP1 came out or after AP1 came out. And now you've got a car that comes from the factory with a dash cam and storage device. I imagine that if the Highway Patrol pulled the Tesla Cam drive, or even just subpoenaed from Tesla correctly, the last moments from the computer, the car will show that what he did: pedal down through the barrier or no barrier, whatever, over the edge. Wow. Uh, uh, Based on the evidence collected, they developed probable cause to believe this incident was intentional. Charging documents show that Patel at 42 was arrested at 9 p.m. on Monday and didn't resist arrest. Officials are continuing to investigate the crash, and CHP said that there's been no determination as to what driving mode the Tesla was in. It was in freaking drive, obviously, because if it was intentional, what they're trying to say is they were trying to do a little FSD or autopilot ding like they love to do. If you want the car to go off the edge, you don't do it in the mode where it's going to try and protect itself. Yeah, so here they say they're trying to pin it on FSD. But thankfully, they said it does not appear to be a contributing factor in this incident. Remains an ongoing investigation, and no further information is being released at this time. So I'm not necessarily going to go and check up on this one, but as more comes available and I see it, I will update you guys on that. So let's see. Do you think that Tesla, Apple, and Samsung should take a more active role in guaranteeing human rights upstream in the supply chain? Yes, and I think that each of the three of those actually are making moves in the right direction to make sure that that their products are ethically sourced. The question then is, how well are they doing at those efforts, and what about their competitors, as well as what do they do if they're duped? Because there's fraud everywhere. So what if they're defrauded? How do they react? Some of the recent video released from cobalt and lithium mines is very disturbing footage. Yes. The other thing about it is that Tesla is trying to go cobalt free. All of their lithium ion phosphate packs are cobalt free, and they have significantly reduced the amount of cobalt in their NMC packs, the nickel magnesium cobalt. And you don't have to get them from Africa or China. You can get them from Canada. Canada's got massive cobalt reserves, and also nickel. And then lithium is everywhere in the universe, so you might as well get your lithium wherever you're getting the rest of your stuff. Although it looks like Tesla's opening a lithium refinery and mine in Texas. We'll see how that goes. Another way you can mine lithium is just like we get our table salt. You can get it straight from the sea. Just put out some seawater, evaporate the water, and then collect your salts, including table salt, magnesium salt, lithium salt, just like that. All right, so let's load up some more now that I've bummed everybody out with evil. It's the wrong window. Thank you for helping, computer. Oh, it's a Tina Kacey article. So let's move this out for now, and then we'll just share it as is. Okay, so this Tina Kacey article is talking about agrovoltaics, and people were complaining about, oh, you're going to get heavy metals in my crops, and there's no proof of that. And we've also found out in the past that agrovoltaics can actually help boost your yields. You got plants that don't actually prefer direct sunlight, like strawberries and other plants that like a little bit of shade. They kind of go complementary with the solar panels. Plus, they've also found out that you can use less water on a field that's covered in panels because there's less evaporation. And let's put a link to her article here where you can read it in depth at Triple Abundant. There we go. And then we will. I just want to reuse this. No, I want to go back to the other window. And back to the notes. Oh, a tweet. Lovely. I need to uninstall the Twitter from this Mac. That way I can just have them open in the browser like they belong. I'll paste and go. Share this tab instead. Close this window. All right. Tesla Model Y and Model 3 are the most American-made cars of 2022, and the Model S and Model X take 5th and 6th place. Thank you, Mark or Patrick of the Tesla Life, for finding this article from Tasmania. All right, so Model Y, Model 3, the Lincoln Corsair, the Honda Passport, Model X, and the Model S are the top 6. You got 4/6 of the record. Nice. Curious if Cardone did get the Model X. Met him in person a couple times. Wish I could afford one of these beautiful autos. All right, let's see. Can I just drag this up there? Yes, but I got to push enter. Go. All right, so this is from cars.com, American Made Index. In addition, the Model X came in 5th, while the Model S took 6th. Making Tesla the most American car. I'm curious then, why is the X more American than the Model S? Huh. Maybe just because it's bigger, so it uses like by weight. There's more of it. The Model Y, um, I guess that could also be the Model Y, but the Model Y definitely made an effort to make more American parts than the Model 3, which was already pretty good. Based on the assessment of all components, Tesla maintained not only their first place in the overall standings, but also strengthened their presence in the list. Oh, that's why the Model S and X came up, because they went to when they got their refresh, they rejiggered them, so they've actually got rear castings now, and front castings too, among other things. Both cars were refreshed last year, and deliveries did not start before the study, so they did not make the 2021 list. Okay. Um, it becomes obvious that the entire Tesla line of Tesla cars is the most American made, which no other automaker can boast. It's true, even though they've got bigger lines. They actually sometimes did similar sales. This automatically leads to the understanding that the Texas manufacturer significantly supports the American economy by providing important jobs at home, while the U.S. manufacturers often choose to have manufacturing facilities outside and then export cars to sell to Americans. It's true too. Tesla's focus on selling the cars that are made by their compatriots on their home soil. Yeah, because Giga Shanghai actually exports more than their fair share, but not here. Although every S and X worldwide is made in Fremont. Tesla strives to localize its supply chain. It's claimed that the vehicle will be 100% domestic, double the industry average. Oh, then they get into the tax credit. So, got another entry into the tax credit fiasco than the ones I told you about last week. Towards the end of the show. All right, moving on. All right, so let's take the Model Y and continue to go overseas. And then copy a link. Let's move this down to another Tasmanian article. Close this one. So the Tesla Model Y became the best-selling car in Switzerland in 2022. The Model 3 made 5th place. Not bad. So in Switzerland, they sold 4,928 units, which overtook the Volkswagen Tiguan, which registered 4,245 units. That was close. Wow. Skoda Octavia dropped to 3rd place at 4,090 cars. It held 2nd place through the first 9 months of the year. In 4th place was Audi Q3 with 3,876 units. And the Model 3 also showed strength, selling 3,525 units and finishing 5th overall. Incredible. Get 1st and 5th place. And this wasn't the only. We might have a couple others throughout this show, but I skipped a bunch of them because it was starting to get repetitive. Tesla takes number 1. Tesla Model Y takes number 1. Tesla Model Y takes number 1. I like this. Tesla Model Y and Model 3 were the 2 most popular cars in New Zealand in December. So in December, Model Y was most popular with 868 registrations, followed by the Model 3 in 2nd place with 413 registrations. It isn't until 4th place before we begin seeing passenger cars with ICE engines, where Suzuki Swift at 367, Mitsubishi Outlander at 336, and Mitsubishi ASX at 331, and the BYD Atto 3 at 318, the Corolla at 301, and the RAV4 at 268. And the Eclipse Cross at 255, round out the top 10 bestsellers. There we go. And let's go to one more article before we get to a tweet. And Tesla, they updated the title. So the title was originally Tesla files trademark for electric motors for boats, planes, and airplanes. And I can save the tweet because the update says that the fan files trademark for the company to make electric motors for airplanes and boats. So he did say Tesla was hinting at electric motors for airplanes, boats, and more in a new trademark that went unnoticed. And the update says it turns out Tesla fan filed the trademark on behalf of Tesla, seemingly without the company's knowledge. So it was on behalf of Tesla, a new trademark last week that went unnoticed until now. Well, then the name Electric's about it today, and while it is for the name Tesla, again, it still caught our interest because the category it's filed in. A new category to market electric motors, not for land vehicles. The definition of the category in the filing is a bit confusing, but extends Tesla's trademark on electric motors to motors for airplanes, boat motors, and electric motors for toys. And filing with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Tesla trademark registration intended to cover the categories of asynchronous motors, not for land vehicles, motors for airplanes, motors, namely synchronous motors, not for land vehicles, permanent magnet motors, boat motors, drive system for having two or more synchronous motors coupled through clutches to drive a common load, electric motors for toys, and linear motors. But then we found out that Tesla didn't do this. So let's look at the tweets. And update. Apparently, it was a Tesla fan who was behind the trademark application to extend Tesla's trademark for use in boats and airplanes without Tesla's knowledge. And that's coming from Bloomberg. When reached Wednesday via phone, Edie said he intended to help the company by filing the application proactively after Elon Musk said its Cybertruck may be usable as a boat. Edie said he had no affiliation with Tesla, and the filing was made without the company's knowledge. Skull emoji. That's interesting. Imagine getting overhyped about electric motors for toys. That wasn't going to happen. That's what people used to say about Tesla. There's already an electric boat company funded by GM, and there are already a couple boats powered by Tesla and BMW. Electric. That's probably Best Buy texting. And it is. Like clockwork. All right, so let's go back to Lance's comment here. All this talk about Tesla killing it in sales makes me wonder if the stock shorting is just an attempt to hurt them rather than lack of investor faith. I'd say it's a little bit of both. And all the focus on it dropping and blah, blah, blah. Like Brianna Wu has been really big on they're faking it. It's never going to happen. It's a fraud, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that it's that bad. I think, yes, it's the numbers don't add up as far as making sense. Like there's definitely a little bit of enthusiasm in it rather than pure numbers. But to say that the company is just outright lying is not right either. She pointed out most recently, or very recently, I don't know if it's the most recently, there was a comment made about FSD, and the company didn't make it. It was actually a filing that they did with one of the governments, and a news agency brought it forward, and she was like, "See, Elon's doing this pump and dump again," and it was it wasn't an announcement; it was a filing. I think she's been captured by some folks who really don't like Elon Musk, and she already doesn't like him, and they're having a bit of confirmation bias where, because they don't like Musk, they see these little nuggets that are not in favor of the company, and they think that they mean more than they do. The company is strong as far as they've got very few loans out there. They're making a great profit on the car. They can slash prices and still continue making profit on the car. They're making records after records in countries all over the world and at home. And despite his ventures into the fringe conspiracy theories, he's not the only person who works at Tesla. And in fact, Elon Jet pointed out that he's been kind of, unless he's taken other jets that the company owns or SpaceX owns, he's been mostly hanging out at Twitter. So they're doing pretty well without him, as is SpaceX. And if he's telling the truth about not selling any more shares, plus this upcoming set of performance we're going to see from them, and uh, the continued ramp of the semi truck and the start of Cybertruck, I think they're in a good spot. Again, this is not stock advice because this I'm not authorized to do that. But as a just general Joe Blow who has a handful of retail shares, I think they're doing all right. And I can't say where the bottom is, but when it gets cheaper to own the stock than the cash they have on hand, then I'd say that's a pretty strong indication. Uh, Somebody suggested that if they drop lower, they could get purchased, which would really suck because, like, then they're just buying cash at that point, and like a coupon. I think that as they continue to perform, people will see the doom and gloom, Chicken Little act for what it is. That is the true fraud. The people, not necessarily fraud. Some of them just literally don't understand what they're looking at, and then there's also fraud there from the folks who are trying to short the stock purposely. They're trying to push it over the edge so they can make some money. I think that should be punishable. Uh, and yes, if somebody is fraudulently doing the same to pump up the stock, that's already punishable. Um, so the accusations that she's making, and not just she, but the others as well, are pretty serious if they were to actually prove them. Um, I'll leave it there. Uh, I think the company's doing well for itself, and hopefully Tom can help improve it even further. All right, so here's a fun one. Oh crud! It opened in the wrong window again. All right, so let's just see how many of these we can open in this wrong window. Oh, this one's good to open in the wrong window because it's a private group. And this one's a tweet. All right, so let's start with the tweet, and then I'll go to the private message and say what I had to say from it. And we'll go from here. All right, exclusive from Daniel Rubino of Windows Central. Exclusive. In an unexpected move, iBuyPower is moving into the motor vehicle space with its first ever pickup. The boutique high-end PC maker says it makes sense that gamers would also want a pickup to move their gaming station around. And of course, it is liquid cooled. I'm just realizing now that this might be a gas truck. But the reason I picked it up was because it was a PC maker getting into trucks, which I assumed was electric, but I'm now looking at the truck and realizing that they might have just customized one. I got you. Oh, okay, so it's fake. Thanks, Daniel. Come see what else we have at the booth too. All right, so let's see. Let's go to iBuyPower's tweets and see if they say anything about it. And I'm gonna take my like back because I don't like being tricked. That is a cool little status display on the system there. I know how to do this. If I could find a case that I could put the screen in. Ah, they do have the case that I could put the screen in. I know just the screen. fact, I've got one on the way. Ordered it like 6 months ago. All right, let's find out about this truck. Maybe it's just the truck that they branded and they just drove it in. Oh, there it is. That was a retweet of Daniel. So that's enough of that. Let's go back in. Oh, actually, while I'm here, I can just unlike it from here. All right, now let's go back here. Talk about the private message. My friend says, how many Taycan owners are ready to throw their Porsche mobile charger connect away? It's the prettiest yet most useful piece of garbage ever. Or not garbage, garage art ever. Their software update basically cuts your amperage in half to keep it from overheating. No word on an official replacement, but I don't think it's happening because they have a new charger that can deliver up to 100 amps. That part. We talked about the 100 amp charger last week, and I mentioned how I've got a 100 amp charger at home, even though I've only used it on a Tesla. What a P100D. Is it Tesla P85D or P90D loaner car? And it had the dual chargers, so it was able to charge at 80 amps, which is the max you can put on a 100 amp circuit for an extended period. It was fast, way faster than my 72. Mostly because my 72 is an SUV, and so it already got more miles per hour at the 72, and just went further with the extra 8 amps. Yeah, 72, yeah, 8 amps, extra 8 amps. He says he's not going to buy one, and then he gives a link to the document that he's talking about. So now we'll share that document. So Porsche has, I don't want to buy another one. Software update for your charging hardware. First, select the charging hardware that you would like to check for a possible update. Then enter the serial number of your device. If you cannot find the serial number, scroll down to serial number to find out more. So both of these, they've reduced the charging output. I'm guessing they overspec them, or not as they overspec them, but over. Probably the same thing that's happening with the original Volts, where they were just melting chargers. And as I mentioned, as he mentioned as well, they've got new ones that can do 100 amps. So that is the Porsche charge, or EVSE situation. Greenworks for CES has unveiled electric bikes, home batteries, robot vacuums, AI lawnmowers, and more. And while we're at it, EcoFlow announced an electric refrigerator and electric lawnmower and the EcoFlow Wave 2. So the EcoFlow Wave was a portable AC compressor, and it had dual hoses so that you weren't exhausting any of your cooled air back out of the structure. Now it's also got a reversing valve, so it's a heat pump in addition to being an air conditioner. So Greenworks is doing something similar. They've got home battery, e-bike, lawnmower, scooter, and then of course their existing lawn care equipment. Excuse me. Not just electric power tools anymore. Greenworks has taken to CES 23 to unveil over a dozen new products spanning a wide range of home and outdoor categories. Excuse me. From video doorbells to electric mobility and even AI-controlled robot mowers. In addition to their already diverse line of electrically powered tools for home and garden work, the company has now entered the home energy space. The newly unveiled Greenworks Life Power Hub home energy system is a home battery similar in concept to a Tesla Powerwall. It's designed to store power either from the grid or from home energy generation methods such as solar panels, and then deliver that electricity to appliances in the home as necessary. somewhere they had a quote about if there was a way to make a sink battery powered, they would do it. They have a home security camera system with up to 16 cameras, such as features such as night vision, indoor and outdoor cameras, and a robot vacuum. So Greenworks is coming into your house if you let them. Level 2 EV smart charger requires installation by a certified electrician, but once installed, can integrate with home energy life battery system. That's pretty cool. Even more cool would be if it's like CCS and can charge DC at low, home levels, not at high charge levels on CCS. Company says it's compatible with EVs, including those from Tesla, BMW, Nissan, Ford, Kia, Mercedes, Chevrolet, Porsche, Honda, Fiat, and more. So basically, all of them. It's 24 volts and 80 volts, 3-port stack rack chargers. Make it easy to organize and charge through. Oh, that's why it's longer. They extended the article out after I read it because more information came out. The new Greenworks 1.5 kilowatt fast charger unveiled for use with riding mowers and UTVs. A 24 volt electric scooter. An ATV. Are you serious? That's really cool. Showed off a UTV rendering and didn't provide any details yet. Okay. The lawnmower is the Optimo AI robot mower. Uses the latest GPS, RTK navigation, and AI camera to allow it to mow multiple yards up to 2.5 acres by using systematic line-by-line cutting. I like that. Instead of the zigzag like the old Roombas did, but in your grass. The mower is said to be accurate within 1 inch without even needing to use a boundary wire. I like that. When we get back, I may do the robot mower thing instead of doing it myself. And maybe not theirs. There have been a bunch of good ones came out. They have a smaller mower listed as a consumer model designed for yards up to half acre. That's way bigger than mine. Uses GPS and GSM for connectivity, but it does use a boundary wire. Hello, baby. How are you? What are you working on? You want to come over and watch the show? You coming? Come on, Toe. Say hi. Say hi. Wave. Uh, Look at her. Okay. Bye. Good to see you. All right. He says, Sweet Moses, that's a lot of stuff. I used to think of Greenworks as the go-to company for electric leaf blower or hedge trimmer, but now they seem to have their sights set on making everything but the kitchen sink. And you can bet that if a kitchen sink needed a battery, they'd be working on one. There we go. Home storage and EV charger are interesting additions to a growing market, but the e-mobility products have really caught his eye because Electric is really into e-bikes and such. Hey, baby, you're back. Come on. Yeah. You want your toy? No, not the mail. The toy. All right. So that was fun. Now let's go on to the next thing. I was talking about VinFast. One of our friends went over to Vietnam to look at their stuff, and he was unimpressed. And we looked at his article, and I gave you guys the link last week or the week before. We summarized it and said, "Buyer beware." So the same VinFast VF8s that he said were on the ship have now arrived, and their EPA rated range is only 179 miles of charge. That's not what they told us. I know that. Let's see. Is this the same friend? Maybe. Maybe. Did you take that off and throw it on me? You did. You dropped this. has a monkey and a green card with a triangle and number 1 on it. And it's lunch. All right, so VinFast succeeded in hitting its delivery target date at the price of failing the customer. The young automaker said repeatedly this year that it planned to deliver examples and to reservation holders before 2022 ended. They did. The Silver Queen cargo ship left Vietnam in November, disgorging 999 VF8s at the port of Benicia, north of San Francisco in December. Then came the old switcheroo. Every unit on the cargo ship was a previously unheard of limited release variant called the City Edition, set aside for VinFirst Pioneer customers only. The first among the reservation holders in a letter to expected shoppers, VinFast said the City Edition's early release was to meet demand ahead of VinFast vehicle lovers and offers a range of approximately 180 miles instead of the 260 miles range that was promised in April of this year. So if this is the same friend, you know he's pissed about this. Oh yeah, the City Edition's smaller range comes courtesy of an 82 kilowatt-hour battery instead of the 87.7 kilowatt-hour battery in the series production VF8. And bad news continues with the VinFast retail site claiming 179 EPA estimated miles, not 180. And the company says an OTA update in January will improve the range, but they didn't say by how much. By 1 mile, probably. So the battery subscription program is delayed. It was going to cost $169 a month for the VF8 and give customers unlimited miles. And the relevant retail page now says, at the time, all vehicles sold or leased are inclusive of batteries, which, as you said in the last article, he pointed out that that was news because when he got on the plane to go to Vietnam, they still only had leases. And then when he got off the plane, you could buy them. And so now, right now, you can only buy them. You can't lease them. Them being the battery packs, because you're buying the car regardless. So let's see. With in April, they were expected to sell a VF Eco with 260 range for $41,200 after the $1,200 destination fee, and a VF8 Plus with the 277 range for $49,200, and the City Edition, which now is curiously higher than all of that at $56,700. The City Edition Plus starts at $63,700, and the base VF8 Eco starts at $60,200. So they totally missed all of their pricing guidance. A Mustang Mach-E Premium with E all-wheel drive and standard battery with 224 miles range starts at $58,975 if you can find one, and your dealer's not trying to gouge you. I think that's a better choice based on what we heard about his test drive experience. They're giving you a $6,000 discount for switching to City Edition, but it's possible a number of aggrieved reservation holders compelled to change the strategy. Similar to what we saw with Rivian when they tried to change their prices on the reservation holders. Said the letter's assertion that the model was only for early adopters, VinFast retail website now shows a pop-up offering a 24-month lease deal to California residents who want the City Edition. I guess not enough people said yes. With $5,744 due at signing, the City Eco will cost $599 per month and offer 10,000 miles per year. A 36-month lease asks $68.69 down and gives $574 per month. The City Edition needs $67.89 due at signing and then costs $699 per month for 10,000 miles per year for 24 months. Wow, it's not a good start, guys. And the range, the reservation pages containing the specs for the 8 and 9 include asterisks next to their range figures, now up to 292 miles and up to 342 miles, respectively. On that page, the explanation given for both is that the value is valid for VF8 Eco Enhanced Range Trim and Battery Variant 2, whatever that means. Not the one that you get, obviously. They were determined according to World Harmonized Light Vehicle Test Procedure, or WLTP. That's probably part of the problem. If you're going to tell the people in the US the miles, you can't tell them in WLTP. You have to tell them in EPA. There's a huge difference between the EPA test and everything else. All right, so let's see what people say about this old switcheroo. I don't want to post. I just want to see what you guys. I broke it. Let's refresh and see if I can't see the comments. I think I've got an auto plug. Bless you. Know that I have an auto plug, so let's just close that. Then what happened? You want to play with your toy? Here you go. You want this toy too? Where's the rest of it? Hey. All right, so next article. Let's go back to this window. Close the tweet. We don't need that anymore. Oh, yes. Good old GM. We got 2 GM articles and an e-bike. Let's go to Stellantis as well. And then a little bit of Tesla. All right, so share this tab instead. GM has increased the price on the Chevrolet Bolt, both of them, the Bolt and Bolt EUV. They claim higher costs, but really what it is they want a piece of your tax incentive money. Seriously, that's what it is. Let's see. So the move effective Monday came about 6 months after the automaker dramatically slashed entry prices for both vehicles by $6,000. And due to ongoing industry-related pricing pressures, the Bolt EV and EUV will see modest price increases in 2023, but we expect it to remain America's most affordable EV, says Cody Williams, Chevrolet spokesperson, in a statement to the Free Press. Chevrolet remains committed to its long-standing role to provide true value. We expect to continue building the record sales we saw in 2022, which were not good. They were okay, but they were not good. Because remember, they had a massive recall in 2022. 2021? They had a massive recall that slowed them down. All right, so the 2023 Bolt EV has increased in starting range by $900, and the Bolt EUV has been increased by $600. So these aren't terrible, but now that they don't need to hold the price down so hard for you to get it, thanks to the tax credit, they're not. Yes, sir. I see you. What would you like? Why doesn't it like you scared? It's your toy. You know how to use it. Tax credits are a proven accelerator of electric vehicle adoption, and we're excited that qualifying customers will be able to take advantage of a $7,500 clean vehicle tax credit. And that's nothing to say of a bonus credit that may be coming for them being union cars. Next most inexpensive vehicle is the Nissan Leaf, which is a reskinned version of the original. Curious about these comments. All right, so where'd they go? I clicked them. And now they're talking about Mercedes. I don't care about Mercedes. You told me comments. Where'd your comments go? There. They blocked? Oh well, forget your comments. Moving on. Let's go straight over to another GM article. All right, so I told you that the Volkswagen and Tesla Model Y and the Ford Mach-E had some really weird anomalies with the way that the tax credit applied to them. The Cadillac Lyriq is not exempt. The Cadillac Lyriq is a 5-seat vehicle, and it counts as a car instead of as an SUV. So instead of a $80,000 price cap, it has a $55,000 price cap, which means that no Cadillac Lyriq qualifies for the tax credit because they're all too light and too expensive. Oh, sorry. That was a much later article that we're going to talk about. The actual article that we're talking about is that the Cadillac Lyriq only sold 86 units in 2022. Huh? What? How can I help you? Would you like a green block? Yeah. Okay. Play with that for a second. The Cadillac Lyriq sales have progressed slowly and with just 86 units on sale, which is unfortunate. And hopefully they do better this quarter. But as I was telling you about the wrong article, they may have a little bit of a challenge if some of their competitors do qualify for the tax break and they don't. Like, say, if you're looking at the Cadillac, you may get the Tesla or the Audi instead of the Cadillac if that extra $7,500 makes a difference to you. Yeah, so 36 where 122 units were delivered in 2022. Production started in March. So in 9 months, you couldn't. Yeah, in 9 months, you couldn't make more than 122 cars for sale. That's disappointing, and it was totally not the article I thought I was getting into because I told I was getting into the tax credit one. All right, so moving on to e-mobility and scooters. You want to get up? Come to me. Use your legs, crawl. You're not Stretch Armstrong. Yeah, your legs, but you gotta crawl with them. She's just kicking her legs. You know how to crawl. She figures she's in my arm reach, so I should reach down to her. You want to get up? Want up? You don't want up. You just want me to look at you. I'm looking at you. I see you. Would you like this blanket? No. No, I don't want that. You don't want up. You don't want to play with your toys. You don't want the blanket, and you don't want to be here. What do you want? How can I help you? Right. So, Atlanta seeks to roll out an e-bike subsidy program for city residents. This comes in response to the growing popularity of e-bikes in the city. And I agree with the conclusion of the author that perhaps, or it was the author or one of the commenters that said maybe just some regular bikes would be nice too, and they'd be more cost effective. But the point is to reduce car traffic, and this does that. And e-bikes aren't cheap, so making them more affordable is one way to achieve that goal. Moving on, let's talk about Stellantis. So somebody suggested that electric cars are for kids. Well, I like this Ram concept that Ram put out this week about their electric pickup truck. I don't like it as much as I like the Cybertruck, but I do like it. What? Yeah, I can look at you better from here. They can hear me speak. You go to the bathroom? Smell fresh to me. All right, so this is what it looks like. It's called the Ram Revolution. It's got a version of Summon where the car will autonomously follow you. It's got a mid gate like the Chevy Avalanche. It's got it's electric, a hefty range. This is not the version of it I wanted to look at. I can't really use their. I can't use the video if I mute it. Let's do that. Because I'm not familiar with the structure of this article. All right, let's go to YouTube. And let's get ready to meet this musical monster. And we'll just talk about it. All right, so this is in Auburn Hills, Michigan, at the Ram Design Center. Skip. Talking about it. Skip. So I could turn on the closed captioning. They had freedom to talk about the future, blah, blah, blah. All right, so I like this AI augmented vision. It's got a projector. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that will make it to the real world. This follow me summon feature, I think, will make it. They don't call it that. You can see the midgate. They're reimagining pickup trucks. I don't know how much of this concept is actually going to make it into production. I like that they've got the split doors. They've got the landscape screen. Ram's trying to outdo itself. Got a virtual personal assistant. Got the built-in bed locker. And let's see, give people goosebumps. And this is the same one I saw. I think this might be the same one I saw because it was kind of fluff. It's a concept. It would be fluff. But if they get even most of these features out there, that'll be fun. I like the glass roof. Steering wheel's a little concepty. The light pipes will probably make it because I think they've got that in other vehicles. The level 3 autonomy, probably everybody else is going for it. And it's attractive. And the gas ram keeps winning awards. Got the storage locker right there. I like that. You've seen that as aftermarket on some other people's. Got the mid gate, the split tailgate that we saw on the Canoe, as well as the extending that we saw on the Canoe with the not accessory, the auxiliary tailgate, the full flat seating. Oh, I didn't notice that before, that the screen doubles up. That's kind of cool. Makes a desk. Got a massive frunk. I don't know about the screen doubling feature, might not make it. And let's see. I'm not sure what they were showing on that one. Maybe the center console. And also flashy. So flashy. So I wish them luck, and I'd like to see how far they get on this. Let's go back to Tesla. So Tesla has caved, and on your Model S or Model X, you can now specify for free a round wheel instead of a yoke wheel. And it still has no stock, so everything is still a touch button on the wheel. And they said they were going to make a center horn button on the yoke. I don't know if that ever came to pass. If they did, then you've got a center horn button on your wheel, and all is back to normal except for the stalks. If they didn't, then you've got a horn that only has, when you palm the right hand side of all the buttons, that you get a horn, or if you push the horn icon, that you get a horn. So that will still be something that people complain about if they don't have a horn button behind them. I would personally not elect for the round wheel because I've been running a yoke now for the last 30,000 miles. No, at least 20,000 miles. And I like it. And I've done thousands of miles of trailering with it. And I like not having an obstruction in my view of the screen in front of me. If I were to get a Model Y or Model 3, I wouldn't be as compelled to go back to a yoke from the round wheel because there's nothing to see behind them. But I do like the way that it opens up the cab, so I might still do. This wouldn't necessarily. It wouldn't be the first thing I do. Hey, are you hungry? Yeah, mommy's making lunch right now. You don't hear it? Oh. We don't hit, okay? Hitting's not the answer. You want food, right? Yeah, almost. Are you hungry? Hungry for food? Yeah, it's almost done. I smell it. I promise you. I know you don't have any patience. She has no patience. All right, so there we go. You can see that on the Shop Tesla website. So let's go to tesla.com/Model X /design. Oh, helps if I spell it right. I had somebody wiggling in my hands. Didn't push all the buttons. All right, so let's do a Model X plaid. And I like the carbon fiber. I don't care for the wood. Do you still get carbon fiber with cream? Or does it switch to wood? Oh wow, that would be one I would actually appreciate. I like the color of their cream. I know other people say it makes it look like an old man car, but I like it. All right, so I wouldn't do black. I did that on the Model S, and it felt like a cave. So I would do white interior. You can only get it to 16 for a plaid. All right, so they default to the round wheel now. Interesting. I would just click over to the plaid wheel because that'd be me. Apparently, if you've had the peeling issues on your plaid wheel, your yoke wheel that other folks have had, there's a redesigned part coming in the indeterminate future. So for me, I just feel it just opens up the cabin more, and I don't, at my height, I don't have to decide whether I'm going to block the bottom or top of the screen with the meat of the wheel or the rim of the wheel. And it looks like you still have that same problem with this round wheel that I had with the stock wheel on my Model X. So there we go. Can anyone transition to a yoke, even a 16 Model X? Yes, actually. So I've got a video on the channel and a link with a discount code in the description. Mine was from Henshow, and then in that video, I also show you how to do it yourself. That way, you don't have to pay somebody else to do it if you're handy and if you've got, I think it was 3 or 4 tools I used. So I went with the since my interior is white, I went with the white with the carbon fiber inserts since mine's not a plaid but a P100D, and it's got the carbon fiber instead of the wood. I went with a white wheel with the white yoke with the carbon fiber insets, and then you also have to specify if you want to keep your heated steering wheel if you've got the cold weather package. So I kept the heated steering wheel on the yoke. So that's pretty fun. You can find that down below in the description. All right, let's see what we've got next aside from the capitulation on the wheel to yoke. And I get it. It's not everybody is willing to try something new, and some of the people who have tried it don't like it. But I found that most of the people who have given it a fair shake, they like it and they don't go back. And I thought that I would use the top of the wheel. I thought I didn't use the top of the wheel at all. I did use it some, not just when I was one-handing like this. I mean, obviously that was quite obvious when I was doing that. But uh, I've used it in the rain. I've used it while towing, and I like it better, especially with the FSD visualizations. I can see the whole screen, especially as Tesla keeps moving elements around. Like now, the speed and gear selection are at the bottom of the screen when you're in FSD, and then they kind of move around when you're not in FSD. Also, if you already have this wheel and you want a round wheel instead, Tesla will sell you one for $700. Or that same link for the Henshow, they made a regular round wheel for the Plaid cars, the Plaid edition car, not edition with Plaid, but the Plaid generation cars, so the refreshes. So if you have a yoke and you want round, they've got you there too. Check and see if their prices compare with Tesla, or not just their prices, but the fact that since they are aftermarket, you can pick your color and material, see what they've got, see if you like it better than just a black round wheel if you've got the yoke. If you got the yoke and you don't want a yoke, or if you've got the yoke and you want to change the color, they've got a kit for that too. I like mine. I've been using it now for, like I said, over 20,000 miles, and I don't see any reason to change back. The only thing I would like to see Tesla do is have variable ratio steering, and then that would be even better. One thing I did find on the Tesla yoke that I don't have on mine is they kind of went for a tucked seam on the back of this yoke, and I didn't like the way that felt in my fingers. But on mine, it's still kind of on the edge, like the inside edge, not behind the wheel, but on the inside where this piece touches. There's the stitching is here, not tucked into a crease on the backside facing the dash. I didn't like the way that felt in my fingers. I love the way that mine still feels like the stock stitching on the Model S and X. The old ones, not the refresh, obviously. Check it out. Concerned about low speed turning in parking lots, but I figure I can get used to it. Yeah, it's not that bad. It's I usually I'm one-handing it, and it feels kind of like a what do they call that knob? That's what it feels like to me. Ow! Why so violent, child? All right, let's go on to the next topic, baby. You keep grabbing my ear. All right, so this next one is from Drive Tesla Canada. Oh, it opened in the wrong window again. But we'll pop it out. Oh, wow, I can pop it in. There we go. And share this tab instead. So this one, I was complaining for the longest time about how my car can do the automatic features when controlled from, say, a third-party app or a Tesla toolbox-equipped laptop. Turns out that maybe they weren't lying when they said it can't. What they should have said was it's not illegal, rather than it can't, because it can't is a lie. I'm not a non-technical person to be just fobbed off, like especially once I see the car do it, or once I've seen it do it in the past when at the shop. So it turns out that if you have a Model Y and most Model 3s prior to some build change. You want your toy again? Like a green square? There you go. Keep an eye on her now because she's fast. Let's see. So anyway, if you had a specific Model 3 or Model Y that originally had this feature, after a certain update, they've actually turned it off. So you weren't seeing things if all of a sudden your remote window feature disappeared. They removed it from the auto roll-up on lock. They removed it from the remote roll-up. And the problem is that they are out of regs for some of the forces that can be generated by the vehicle. Let's see how they worded it here. So the recall was to correct an issue with automatic window reversal system in 1.1 million vehicles. Following the recall, Tesla is now removing the automatic window feature to comply with regs. Hey, baby, are you trying to turn me around? No, you want to play with my chair. That's fine. You can play with the chair. Um, the frustrating part is the action that owners will no longer be able to open or close their windows until you have pressed the brake pedal first. And I'm guessing that the brake pedal is just to say that there is an adult in the car to control the windows rather than a kid who might get caught in the window going up. Um, I don't know why they don't just adjust the sensitivity. I guess maybe they can't, and that the new ones do have the appropriate level of sensitivity. This also stops the windows from automatically closing in car wash mode, again, unless you've hit the brakes first. All the features being removed are in order to comply with FMVSS 118, Section 5, a copy of which is included at the end of the article. Similar messages received by owners. These features may return at some point in the future, open to further development of a software update. There's no timeline on when the update will be ready for deployment. Let's see. So the problem is the Windows response variations to pinches exceeded the regulated requirements. Some of these features have already been removed from production vehicles since around the time of the recall in September and October. Like the ability to vent and close your windows. So your cars are like my legacy car and Lance's legacy car, where we can open our windows, but there's a warning that we can't close them again, which I always thought was ridiculous because my 2016 Model S could close the sunroof on its own. And as I said, I saw the technician close the windows with the laptop on both the S and my X. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I'll put the chair back. Here you go. She got mad because I turned around and looked at her. She's playing with the back of the chair. Tesla Scope added these changes will impact cars in the United States, and Drive Tesla Canada suspects that it will also impact Canadian cars because, bless you, because we share so much. So remotely via the app, automatic closing on lock, and via car wash mode. Rolling the windows up and down with the physical switches has been authenticated for Drive by pressing the brake pedal. So your car has to be in on mode to roll the windows up, period. I think mine have always been that way. But again, I have a legacy car. I wonder if vent has been removed. I've got a car that's been updated. Let me see if I can't vent the windows. All right, so we're still on service. Go back. All right, I've got climate. I think it was under climate or controlled. I'm not mom. All right, so I can still vent the windows. And it should give me a warning because it's raining. Are you sure you will not be able to remotely close your windows? Or yeah, which it's always said because they've always been of the stance that it was impossible. Like I said, not true, not legal, but also not true. They should have said that it's not legal for us to do it. Yeah, I used to have vent, me too, but we never had on our X's, we never had close in the Tesla app. A door all close button in the app. Yes, that would be awesome. And I think they may have it in the app for the new cars because they don't, they have the key fob, but they have the key the phone is key feature as well, and so you can actually open your Falcon Wings or the passenger door just from the app rather than having to click through them like we do. Tell me you're fuzzy. Yeah. I think you're sleepy. You're not just hungry. You want this blanket? Here. All right. As an in-person service is not required, your appointment has been canceled. Have a nice day. So I'm guessing that's a response to somebody who said, "Hey, my stuff is gone," and Tesla was telling them in this Tesla message, "Yeah, it's good." You know, tech came and paired a new fob, and it works, but I could never attach it to my profile. Interesting. I don't get is why my key fob, which I paid $195 for, is not recognized by the car as attachable to my profile. I wonder if perhaps your profile already has a key attached, and it's interesting. I'm curious how that works, and if they can fix it manually, like they used to be able to do when you wanted to add a spouse's profile to the app. And then if that's the case, if anybody's left that knows how to do it, is the next question. Oh, that's kind of cool. My phone touched a credit card that's sitting on the desk, and it wants to open the app for that credit card. That's actually really smart. But it also wants to open my remote scanner for the which is interesting. I'm not mom. I'm dad. Papa. And all right. Said maybe MCU2 would help. It could. That could definitely. Well, you know what would definitely help is the first install of MCU2 if they don't migrate your settings, because then it won't remember the old fob that's missing, and it'll attach to the new one. All right, so automatic window reversal systems, a power-operated window, partition, or roof panel. I wonder if that means they took it away on the clothes on the old cars. But the old cars also had a much more sensitive sunroof sensor. If the sunroof didn't break, baby, how can I help you? You tired? Are you sleepy? Mommy's cooking, so I can't like just hand you off. Come on now, come on, come on. Let me down now. um, System that is capable of closing or being closed under circumstances other than those specified in S4 shall meet the requirements of S 5.1, 5.2, and if applicable, 5.3. So while closing the power operated window, partition, or roof, the panel shall stop and reverse direction either before contacting a test rod, which properties specify in section 8.2 or 8.3, before exerting a squeezing force of 100 newtons or more on a semi-rigid cylindrical test rod with properties described in S 8.1. When such a test rod is placed through the window, a partition, or roof panel opening at any location in the manner described in the applicable test under S7. So I don't know if this changed on them or if they were just like at the threshold, because as an engineering company, that seems to be pretty straightforward to follow. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bunk you in the headphones. Upon reversal, the power-operated window, partition, or roof panel system must open to one of the following positions at the manufacturer's option. A position that is at least as open as the position at the time the closing was initiated, a position that is not less than 125 millimeters more open than the position at the time the window reversed, or a position that permits semi-rigid cylindrical rod that is 200 millimeters in diameter to be placed through the opening at the same location as the rod described in section 7.1 or 7.2b, which was, what, 100 millimeters? 125 millimeters. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit longer. And I will say that when I tested the pinch sensors on my Model S roof, it did behave in this manner. So I don't know what is wrong with the ones on the S and X, why they never turned it on, and what's wrong with the ones on the Model Y and Model 3 why they turned it off. Maybe just a little over 100 grams or something, or 100 newtons, sorry. I'm not sure. Or maybe it wasn't consistent enough. That's a possibility if they were using low quality sensors. The other is for something that Tesla, as far as I know, never used, which is the infrared sensors. So if a vehicle uses proximity detection, and I've only seen this on some cars, like if you put your hand through the window as it's going up, it'll stop. And they're saying that if they use an infrared source, it's to protect infrared light at a wavelength of not less than 850 millimeters and not more than 1050 nanometers. And the system shall meet the requirements above in ambient light conditions from total darkness at 64,500 lux to or 6,000 foot candles incandescent light activity. Interesting. 3 comments. Still heard about them making Tesla disable sounds and music with cars in motion to protect visually impaired pedestrians. I agree. I don't agree with that last one. Yes, I do agree with that. Let's see. Moving on. We got another tweet. This one's from Sawyer. Let's copy this link. Paste and go. One thing that Sawyer noticed, or somebody noticed and Sawyer took the pictures, is that the Model S and X no longer include the badge. So this is old, and this is new. Another thing that some people notice is that they're showing the new charge port type as well. That isn't really a new change. It's just new from whenever he collected them. You can see this one doesn't even say plaid on it. So now the Tesla T is gone, and you have just the Tesla wordmark logo right there. And then this one's a plaid, so it's got the plaid badge. And red brake calipers are back as well. So let's go through his thread here. Am I seeing things? Did they make room in the taillight for consumer cameras or corner cameras? And no, they did not. I like the removal of the T emblem, but prefer Tesla to be black, not chrome. No point in bringing back the chrome look if everything else is black. At the same time, it makes it easier for people behind you to see what you've got, so they say, "What's that? Who makes it?" Touch port taillight changes there as well. Feels like it's missing something now. This person points out that Tesla promises tilting screen and AAA gaming for 2021, which they haven't given, as well as the 200 miles per hour. All right, so let's go through the tweets. So as we saw, that you can pick the round wheel or the yoke, and I pointed out they removed the emblems. Red brake calipers are back as well. Excuse me. Model S and X Plaid also come with new higher thermal capacity brake calipers, and they're red. And then a lot of people saying they like the yoke better, like me. Let's go on to the next article. This one's fun. And then let's get on to one after that. And then another. And another. And another. And then while we're there, let's go to a tweet from Tesla. You rubbed my spit on my computer. Nobody told you to dig in my mouth. Twitter / Tesla. All right, so we got a couple Tesla tweets. Tesla Model S Plaid sets records as the fastest car 0 to 60 ever tested by Motor Trend. It's kind of cool. I'll look at that for myself later. All right, so here's why I was actually looking at the Tesla Twitter feed for. Safety is the number one priority, number one primary design objective for our vehicles. Your Tesla monitors your surroundings, alerting you or taking corrective action if you are at risk of an accident. So for those of you that don't know, I was involved in a crash with a semi-truck where I was repeatedly rear-ended by a loaded intermodal semi-truck. And the car survived with minor damages, and the truck had more significant damages. And that's not yet a done issue. So that's not much more I can say on it just yet. But I'll have video and everything when it's ready. Then it says it seems like more folks would like the yoke if the buttons were real and the horn was in the standard spot. Boom! Yeah, that's exactly right. If I could like feel the buttons, like one had a dot and one had a divot, it wouldn't matter if they go around with the wheel. But right now, they're just like the same complaint we had about the Volt. I mean, yeah, you get used to it, but that whole array of just like random capacitive buttons was a pain. But they did have locating nubs. The problem was they were so sensitive that the nubs didn't matter. But they could do the nubs on the steering wheel. We'll see what they do. And yeah, if the horn is in the middle, that would solve a lot of complaints right there. Because it's been many years since you had to have a horn off on the side with special buttons. And even when you did, they were a pair of them. So you could just hit whatever spoke was nearest to you rather than having to remember which spoke that the horn thing was on. And then even before that, like the horns were a ring or they were a foot pedal or so. I mean, we standardized them on the steering wheel, but this was a step back from the convention to just what was allowed, which was didn't go over well. So yeah, so Tesla safety. I've seen that, and that's why they're my preferred brand. Aside from all the cool tech stuff, is safety first. Gen 1 Volt Center console was everything wrong. Everything wrong with companies trying to do something futuristic before they understand it. I agree, and I was so glad when I didn't have that as my primary driver anymore. All right, so they have a link to their webpage. We'll go to that as well in a minute, but let's read their tweets. And then I'll go to what I actually pulled up was their safety report. So among other benefits, active safety features are designed to help you avoid unintended lane departures and alert or brake in case of a potential forward collision, avoiding or reducing its severity. And that goes all the way back to AP1. If there's a vehicle obstacle in your blind spot, the vehicle will alert you with visual and audible feedback. Those are what I call mouse farts because they are so quiet. It's like beep, beep, beep. And it works because they're super directional. But man, if you're not paying enough attention, like I said, they sound like little mouse farts. Yeah. All right, so if a vehicle obstacle in your blind spot, we are continually improve the safety features long after the car has been delivered via over-the-air updates, which we've seen. And then we covered that last year on the show where Tesla had actually updated the airbags and how they deploy. Your hair's getting so long, baby. For example, using Tesla Vision, your Tesla is now able to deploy the seatbelt pretensioner when a collision is detected, or earlier when a collision is detected. That's good. Sometimes a crash is unavoidable. In that case, crumple zones, structural integrity, and low center of gravity present in every Tesla can help reduce the risk of injury, cabin intrusion, and rollover. So here they're going over some of their crash tests. Wow. Tesla Model Y versus a Lexus. Wow. The people wobbles wobble, but they don't fall down. And they don't just do physical crash tests, they also do virtual crash tests. Baby, why are you punching my throat again? Okay. In gas cars, the engine at the front of the vehicle gets pushed inside the cabin during a collision, like walking into a wall with a pile of bricks in front of you. As EVs don't have engines, the front crumple zone is optimized to absorb energy upon impact. And so here you can see they're showing off that their digital twins are faithful to the actual physical crashes. I don't like your arm there. You're making it harder for me to breathe. We're able to use billions of miles of data captured from our global fleet to understand how and why the real world accidents happen, helping us to make our vehicles safer in the future. And so then they have a YouTube video of their crash lab, which we might as well watch before we go off to their way. Reese is just like me. Says, "This is why I own a Tesla. My family walked away with just scratches from this." All right, so let's look at their YouTube video here. Let's see. Tesla likes to use music, so I probably can use it.
Crash lab.
Yep. All right, so it's another Anders, safety engineer. All right, so let's share this tab instead, because we get closed captioning on this one. Do we? No, but we do now. Come on. There we go. All right, so this is the one that we looked at last year, or at least clips include that same one last year, where they were redoing the pretensioners. Yes, thank you for slapping my ears with the earphones on. Yeah, that was the same one where they adjusted it for a type of collision that wasn't present when they were initially selling the cars, which was fun. All right, let's move on to their safety page, and we'll get on to the safety report. All right, built for safety. They're scanning everything. Do the report. The design for the ground up. Battery pack. The weight and position reduce the rollover risk and improve emergency avoidance and handling. Impact protection, a patented side sill structure, which supports the chassis to absorb impacts, energy, and protect occupants and battery. Maybe. I know. Yeah. Here. You're not comfortable yet. You're a little sleepy. Yeah. See, look, there you go. Just rest your head. Patented side structure. A lot of folks seem to think that these rocker panels are like those of other manufacturers, where they're made of plastic. They are not. They're structural. The rigid body and fortified structure help to reduce the and prevent cabin intrusion, and that's what we saw on the vehicle that ended up over the cliff. Was that the B pillar structure was intact, and then they've got crumple zones. Large empty spaces in the front and rear soften the impact, reducing the risk of occupant injury. And not just large open spaces, but they've also got these fortified tusks that help to direct and absorb the impact as well as advanced airbags with less cabin intrusion, help preserve space for airbags to fully inflate and protect passengers. Exceptional awareness, 8 cameras and powerful vision processing provide 360 degrees of visibility, detecting nearby objects like pedestrians, bicycles, and vehicles. And then yesterday somebody had the point of, oh, well, it's run over pedestrians left, right. I've never seen that in my actual use of the car. In fact, this week there were 2 children crossing a crosswalk at a short light, and the car waited for them to get past more than half of the divided highway, and that caused us to miss the light. So then it waited another cycle and then went through on the next one. And then in parking lots, I've never seen it. Like, in fact, I've seen it alert. Like, if it thought I was in manual driving, it thought I was going to hit a clip of somebody, it would beep at me, red hands, and pay attention and all that. And then the other thing I find is that for pedestrians, it tends to give them kind of a nice wide berth, which I appreciate. Like, there was a guy running on the other side of the road yesterday, and our car slowed down because there was a car parked on our side of the road. So before passing the car, it gave the guy extra room as if he was a vehicle. But it showed a man running, and or a pedestrian running. And so I don't get where people think that these cars are running into stuff all the time. Yes, they used to run into fire trucks and police cars frequently because they were half in the lane. But that was an older system, and I haven't heard any new cases of it doing that. So they may have solved it. Let's see, active safety for Tesla. Yeah, that's how mine responds when it's a pedestrian. It doesn't just maul them. All right, so automatic emergency braking can detect vehicles, pedestrians, objects in front of you, and applies the brakes to mitigate an impact. It also turns off autopilot, as Green showed us last week, that automatic emergency braking just slams the brakes. Forward collision warning, which is one that we're most familiar with, where it provides visual and audible warnings of impending collisions with vehicles and obstacles, sometimes a little conservatively. Blind spot collision warning, aka mouse farts, warns when a possible collision is detected with a vehicle or obstacle in your blind spot, and sometimes it'll also apply the lane departure steering if you've got that turned on. It feels like a little rut in the road, which has saved at least 4 people from me that were just camped out in my blind spot. 1 motorcycle, 2 tiny sedans over the last 4 years. I mean, I'm sure I probably could have caught them, especially if they beat the horn, but it was there and it helped, and I was appreciative of it. The lane departure avoidance, which just usually works. Sometimes it's wrong when I'm in a turn and the lines are faded or whatever, and it'll try and help me. And I'm like, no. And you can override it. It's really easy. But sometimes it's right, and it'll just kind of bump you back in the lane. Safer over time. That's just because of the software updates. Thermal protection against fires. In the rare case of damage, Tesla battery packs are designed to spread heat away from the occupant and cabin and battery, helping prevent fires and protect occupants. From 2012 to 2020, the U.S. Tesla vehicles were approximately 10 times less likely to catch fire per mile driven compared with the average gas vehicle. There's this notion that every Tesla that crashes catches fire, just like a gas car in a movie, and it's not accurate. Proven safety for SX, Line 3. Let's look at X because that's what I drive. All right, so S got overall safety 5-star in every category in 2013. 3 got it in 2018. Y got it in 2020, and the S got it in 2018. What's the X? You're so tired. That's okay. Just close your eyes. You'll be fine. I'll be here when you wake up. All right. So now the whole reason I even looked at the tweets and everything is I pulled up the safety report, and let's see what we see. Safest cars in the world, active safety features. There we go. The charts. Tesla vehicles using autopilot technology. Tesla vehicles not using autopilot technology, and the U.S. average. So for Q3 of 2022, they got 6 and change million miles before an accident on average with autopilot. Almost 2 million miles between accidents on just a regular Tesla. And the U.S. average was less than 1 million miles between crashes. Q2 was not as good, but still great. So the U.S. average, I guess, stays the same except for maybe right here, but that could be an optical illusion. And then, So they've been getting better on average over time. Like you can look back to 2018 when they first started coming out with it. Let's dig into Q3 of 2022. In the third quarter, we recorded 1 crash for every 6.26 million miles driven, in which drivers were using autopilot technology. For drivers who are not using autopilot technology, recorded 1 crash every 1.17 million miles driven. By comparison to the most recent data available from the NHTSA and FHWA from 2021 shows that in the United States there was an automobile crash every 652,000 miles. So that's a great improvement. And how do they know? Well, the car phones home every time you crash. Vehicle fire data. From 2012 to 2021, there's been approximately 1 Tesla fire for every 210 million miles traveled. And by comparison, from the National Fire Protection Association and the U.S. Department of Transportation shows that in the United States, there's a vehicle fire for every 19 million miles traveled. So that's also much better. In order to provide an apt comparison to NFPA data, Tesla's dataset includes instances of vehicle fires caused by structure fires, arson, and other things unrelated to the vehicle, which account for some of Tesla fires over the time period. So that's actually pretty cool. So that fire we saw last year on the Model Y that actually came from the garage, not from the car, that would be counted as a vehicle fire for that year, even though the car didn't start the fire. It counted as a Tesla that burned. So Tesla's being fair with their data there is what they're trying to say. They give over their methodology, and let me give you guys a link to the safety report here. Paste that here. All right, and then we will move on to other subjects. All right, so that was Tesla safety we covered. Covered the crash lab. And let's go back to more record sales. All right, so Tesla Model 3 ends the Toyota Camry's 28-year streak as the best-selling midsize sedan in Australia. That's incredible. 28 years. And then we saw last week where they ended the VW Bug as Norway's best-selling car for a year. 53-year records. So let's see. Toyota Camry overtaken the fossil fueled vehicle by 10,855 sales of the Model 3 compared to 9,538 vehicles of Camry sold. Not bad. Hyundai, BYD, MG, and Polestar all playing catch up in the segment. Saw a 549% increase in year-over-year sales. Wow. Let's see. Even with a massive surge, electric cars only made up 3.1% of sales in the country. You guys have an electricity issue there that you're working through. BYD is the third best-selling electric car there. Interesting. As the company only started delivering vehicles in September and had to pause deliveries for 3 weeks. It's an impressive showing on their part then. All right, so the Model 3 at 10 grand, Model Y at 8,000 units, the BYD Atto at 2113. It's a good start. Polestar at 1524, and the MG ZS EV at 1119. The Kona at just over almost 1,100 units, and the Recharge at 983, Ioniq 5 at 756. Benz EQA at 624, and the BMW iX at 593. Not bad. We're curious where the Atto goes next year. The Dolphin and Seal are coming as well. We'll see how that goes. Yeah? Yeah. Lay your head down. All right, so next. Mercury has unveiled a 100% electric outboard motor with easy-to-swap batteries, and this is pretty cool. I think I first saw this, or at least one of their competitors, over on the Gone with the Wind channel, and it's pretty cool. An electric outboard motor. You just pop it on to your transom, and you can swap the batteries out. It's called the Aviator 7.5e. Look for some specs on this thing. Cute little smile. Let's see. It looks pretty easy to use. 750 watt continuous rated. Not bad. It's equivalent to 1 horsepower, though the electric drive means that it's the higher torque, and the system can do more with less power. Mercury says the motor performs closer in performance to Mercury 3.5 horsepower 4-stroke outboard. Wow. With comparable speed and acceleration figures. Part of the reason the motor competes so well against more powerful gas engine is that it uses a transverse flux electric motor. That design has a different copper coil winding design that increases the low speed torque and efficiency. Well, there you go. Right, so it's got 1 kilowatt-hour battery packs that slide into the console and are swappable to allow a longer range without needing to stop and recharge. A single 48-volt battery is said to be good for only 45 minutes when motoring flat out. Slower speeds help increase the runtime. That makes sense. Carrying a second or third battery makes it easy to stay out longer or travel further distances. It only weighs 16 pounds or 7 kilograms and was developed in partnership with Mastervolt, who knows a thing or two about lithium-ion batteries on the water. Power packs have passed drop tests and are IP67 rated for water resistance. Not bad. Ow! The entire unit weighs 43 pounds with the transom mount, meaning it can be carried for short distances. Who did it? I'm sorry. You bumped me. Tesla didn't start the fire. Lance says. Bennett says we didn't start the fire. Tesla. It was always burning since the world was turning. Ford Pintos, Firestones, Bolt batteries, and seatbelt tensioners blown. Yes, the seatbelt tensioners was just what, last week or the week before with the Bolt and their recall. The seatbelt tensioners were burning the carpet. Every aspect from controls and props and digital gauges to the mobile app are designed as part of a complete propulsion system designed for the advantages of electric propulsion. Okay, I'm right here. Just close your eyes. I'll be here when you wake up. All right, let's see. This has probably got loads of music. Let's try it.
What?
Yep. Closed captioning. Where would you go with Mercury Aviator 7.5 outboard? Somewhere I can get to in 45 minutes, obviously. Yeah, that doesn't look bad. That looks ergonomic. Easy to read battery gauge. I don't know how often I'd actually use the app if I was out in the water. I wonder if it could take. Oh, it looks very lightweight. I wonder if it could take external power if you were putting it on a larger tender. Some other batteries, perhaps. Definitely looks a lot nicer than his cheap Chinese boat. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Pontiac Fieros might as well have been Neros. Yes. That was a good one, Bennett. Making a Blazer EV might be too soon, but they are making a Blazer EV. Even better. I'm going to share this tab instead. All right. Close the Aviator. You know what? Let's not close the Aviator control. Shift T. So huge parts of the 9,000-ton Tesla Cybertruck Gigapress arrive in Texas. So that's what I was talking about earlier in the show. And here we can see some pictures. So this is the one we saw last week. Isn't it? No, it's not. It's not. All right, let's switch this tab. The Long Boy was not the one we saw last week, but this other one wasn't either. So here we see 2 deliveries of the Interpress. This was the one I was talking about, and this one I wasn't, but it's another part of it. She's not asleep. She's just fussing. Enjoy your lunch, baby. All right, here we see them delivering it. Oh, okay. So they just brought it in the loading bay. I was curious how they got it in. There we go. All right. So no pressure. No, 9,000 tons of pressure. The lame dad joke. I'm gonna do it. 9,000 tons. And let's go back to this, not this. Yeah, this. Those are probably the long sliding shiny arms in the long truck. One package that can't be broken up into pieces. That's true. That might be these. Get a message here. Dan had some articles for us this week as well. Let's continue this real quick. There we go. Let's go past the tweet. Did the safety report. Share this tab instead. And this is the one I thought I was talking about when we were talking about the Lyric and how it only sold a couple dozen units. Cadillac is upset that their vehicle isn't counting as an SUV. They want the Treasury to reconsider the tax credits for the Lyric, make it an SUV. So they're in the same boat as Tesla and Volkswagen and Ford, with their car not counting as an SUV, but rather an expensive car. And I think that they might have done this on purpose, where the where they're showing the expensive vehicles that just are on the threshold of being a car as cars rather than SUVs, so they can save the tax money. Yeah, Bennett says doing it by weight is so silly. I agree, but it's not even consistent because there are lighter cars than the ones that didn't count that are fossils. I call them fossils. They're plug-in hybrids that count as five-seaters rather than five-seater SUVs rather than as cars, which is rather annoying. Right, let's go back to the notes. All right, let's go back to Dan. All right, so Dan found this one, which I saw and didn't pick up, but well, he's not wrong. This other one, I'm not sure. I'll wait till them to actually do something with it. This one was funny to me. All right, so let's start with this one because it was funny to me. We'll share this tab. The article is titled "GM moves to match Tesla and Ford with new EV production." And my response to Dan was, "You can't match Tesla and Ford from Mexico when they're both building them right here in the States." And I clarified further for trucks because the Mach-E is built in Mexico. So GM moves to match Ford and Tesla with new EV production in Mexico. So they're expanding EV production to their existing Ramos Arizpe plant in northern Mexico, and that announcement resulting in a total of 4,500, I'm guessing, cars. 4,500 what? And 4,500 cars isn't a lot for the EV space. Bennett says, let's be real. If only 5 passengers, it's a car. I don't care if it's shaped like a box, Escape, or a Scion. I can see that being fair. But then make it standard. Say, hey, any 5-seat is a car. And so the Model Y 5-seat, all the Volkswagens, all the Mach-Es, all the GMs, none of them are SUVs. And if there's 7 seats or more, then say they're SUVs. And I think that would be fair. But if you've got 2 different standards, which is frustrating because the EPA considers all of these cars to be SUVs, and the IRS doesn't decide to use that particular definition. Would love to see the lithium iron phosphate Model Y hit 55 with no options. Absolutely, I agree with that. Like how back at the beginning, the tax credit, even the Model S made it with no options. Yeah. And I like the way they did like a special trim in Canada just to make sure that the rest of them counted. but we'd have to have lithium iron phosphate Model Y here in North America to begin with. True, and I think that Tesla can do some stuff like that to make it happen, but we'll see what they actually do. All right, so the plant currently produces Chevy Equinox and Blazer fossil vehicles, and coincidentally, both of these vehicles will be available as electric models in the coming years. Hence, with the facility's familiarity with these products and the production dates of 2024 matching the introduction date of the two Chevy EV SUVs. Oh, so they're just trying to greenwash it. They're getting a little free publicity for doing something they were already going to do. These plants already make the Blazer and the Equinox, and the Blazer and Equinox EVs are coming out. I thank you for pointing that out, Tesla Ruddy. GM has not specified if the existing ICE production lines will be halted, probably eventually, but probably not right away, depending on the prices that they charge for these things. Okay, so it's a big old no surprise there, in addition to not being able to match Tesla or Ford. Then he gave us I never opened that one. I looked at it. No, I opened that one. The title was just different from the current. I pointed out a interview where he explained some of Elon's personality from his bullying as a child, how bad the father was. You can read a similar report in his mom's book. Lance asks, is the UAW trying to brainwash us? No way. Maybe. He pointed out that the Lightyear waitlist is gone live. We'll see if Lightyear makes it. Salt Lake City molds a major change to EV infrastructure policy that would require developers of apartment and condo construction projects to make at least 20% of newly designed parking stalls and newly designed parking stalls electric vehicle ready. I like that. And ready often just means conduit, and I'm fine with that as long as it's easy enough to retrofit them down the line. Trenching the concrete is one of the harder parts of this. And hopefully Omar has a report about FSD for us. Unfortunately, I don't know if I brought it up, we lost Ken Block recently. He passed away in a snowmobile incident. Dan also pointed out that SpaceX rockets were yet again causing UFO reports from the contrails. All right. Oops, wrong window. That's okay. Let's move this over here. There we go. And one thing I keep forgetting to mention with all this talk about tax credits is the used cars. All right, so let's switch on over here to this one because I thought it was cool. SpaceX ties a 42-year-old Soviet record with the last launch of 2022. SpaceX has tied a 42-year-old record with its 61st and final Falcon rocket launch of 2022. And then they started right back up on was it January 3rd? They started launching rockets again. It was pretty cool. Let's see. So carrying a tiny Earth observation satellite for Israeli company ImageSat, built by Israeli Aircraft Industries. The Aero C3 telescope is a third of its kind. Extremely light payload precluded the need for SpaceX to send a drone ship. Of course, I still love you. Several hundred kilometers into the Pacific Ocean, likely saving hundreds of thousands of dollars. Instead, Falcon 9 booster B1061 lifted off for the 11th time, carrying Aero C3 and an expendable Falcon 9 upper stage rocket most of the way into space, and then it did a boost back maneuver and landed at the landing zone 4, which was, of course, really freaking cool. Let's see. In 1980, after 2 decades of gradual buildup, Soviet Union managed to launch variants of its R-7 workhorse rocket 64 times in 1 calendar year. 61 of those launches were successful. Okay, so they tied the successful launch record. Um, and maybe this year they'll beat the launch record, launch attempt record anyway, and theirs will all be successful. Only the R7 family ever posed a threat to its own record, managing 55 successful launches in 1988. But its launch cadence, heavily driven by disposable Cold War reconnaissance satellites, plummeted with the fall of the Soviet Union, has never recovered. That's pretty cool. So 61 launches was their final total. What's this here? We've already talked about the safety report and the Mercury Aviator. And this one, Dan thought was fun to share. We don't know anything about this, and I'm curious what the situation is, but one of the Pepsi semis was spotted being towed by a wrecker. That's what we got. Lance says, I have 3 UAW in-laws. Given how much they brag about sleeping on the job and how much they complain about having to pay 11% of their own healthcare premium, to the point of striking, I would say the best thing that could happen to Tesla is never go union. I would tend to agree with Musk on this one, is not to go that union. We do have a friend in that union, and she does great work. But I don't think that, since she doesn't make cars, I don't think that her part of it is the same sort of situation. Dawood, how are you? Hello. It says you're here. Bennett says there's definitely a balance to be had. Unions and labor laws are supposed to be so it's not like the 1800s out there. UAW does more to make people hate unions than they do to help their members. It does appear that way from the outside looking in, and that's why I agree with what Musk was saying there. He was saying that since this is the same union that dropped the plant when it was under Toyota and GM to round the wagons around all the other plants, why would you go back with them? Why would you make your own or go with another union? For instance, Microsoft just had another 2 unions show up at their facility, which is pretty cool. Not the UAW, but they've given us a lot of good stuff in the past, like the weekend and a couple of other perks that we get. 40-hour work week. So I don't think the unions are all bad, but yeah, you have a point that some of them are not putting their best foot forward right now. And Dawood is trying to sign in, but the computer is just showing him as a blank square. I don't know why. All right, so Omar says FSD beta is interesting. The car drives relatively well, but it makes some really dumb decisions. I agree with him there. All right, congrats, Omar. That's some good news. All right, let's see. Hopefully, Dawood's able to sign in here. Lance says, my brother-in-law was bragging about how they got a new clause that no worker can be replaced by automation. I can't see how that will advance manufacturing when the bottom line would it be important. I agree. It would not improve the bottom line. And it's kind of a step back because we've been automating everything for hundreds of years. And as long as your people are operating the machine, you're still in there. So you add a robot and have to keep the 100,000 annual cost of the worker it replaces. What do we do with them? Can the companies advance? That's a good question. It's a very good question. What was I going to say with the I drew a blank on all of that one. I do like Bill Gates' idea of taxing the owner of the machines significantly. It sounds kind of like this, but maybe not done the same way. Just to make sure that they don't just replace everybody with machines for the heck of it, but that they actually are doing it in a certain way. Those taxes, I guess, we could form a universal basic income or something. I'm not sure where it went from there. I just like the idea of a tax if you replace people completely with the machinery. Not sure what's different about Dawood's setup today, but it's just bringing him in as an empty square. Let's see. What else you guys got today? I got some more on the phone. Let's see what we can pull up here. While we wait for Dawood to come in. All right, so let me scroll through here real quick. Give you guys some more headlines. Let's see. Oh, don't close it. All right, so the Rosewood Sand Hotel and Lucid have started an EV amenity partnership. So you could rent a Lucid basically while you stay at the hotel. Nice. Ford doubled EV sales in 2022 as they tried to catch up with Tesla. So let's see, Ford had 61,575 battery sales in 2022, more than double their 2021, but less than half of Tesla. Let's see. Lance says, I would get worried. We've got people calling for 25 minimum wage and are now seeing the first truly automated McDonald's, a fully automated McDonald's. Yeah, I saw an ad for that. I haven't actually run into one yet. I see a future where this poses an issue. I'm not aware of these minimum wage. Maybe that's why they have so many models. Oh, we're canceling the Trailblazer Knox from here. Opening a new plant in Tennessee for the Jolt pickup that's automated. Possibly. That very well could be how they did it. Jobs are meant to be livable, and the fact that many people are trying to live off of them seems concerning. Yeah, I mean, it used to be that you could have one income in a household, work your 40 hours, and be done. And that, a lot of that was thanks to the unions. And I'd like to see a return to a living wage. And you're right that just bumping the price of the labor might not be the way to do it, but we need something. Let's see, for the state of the economy. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. It's pretty much on topic. Yeah, so we don't know what happened with that Tesla semi-truck, but we got pictures of it being towed away. And let's see here. Let me go ahead and close this. All right, so 575 vehicles from Ford. I don't know that I would call that competing with Tesla, but it is a move in the right direction. Double their previous numbers, but as we saw, 61,000 and 1.3 million are not close, to say the least. Gordo K is Rivian to continue to sell cars directly to customers in Illinois, which is good, because apparently somebody in Illinois, probably a dealership, was trying to stop that from occurring. And you guys know how I feel about requiring dealerships. I don't mind people using dealerships on their own choice, but I do have a problem with requiring it. All right. Tesla reopens orders for the Model S and X long range in Europe. There you go. Just coinciding with deliveries of the first Plaids over there. Making the jump to more tech positions is a weird mess. Hiring across tech is terrible, even for folks with good experience and current skills. Absolutely. Lance agrees. I don't ever envy anyone involved in it. I totally agree. Tesla Model Y outsells all other cars in Taiwan in December, 3 times more than their closest competitor. So the Tesla Model Y at 3,598 versus the RAV4 combustion at 1,162. Then there was the Mazda CX-5 at 1,135, the Lexus ES at 509, and the Tesla Model 3 at 475. There you go. Lance is in FinTech. I have 8 open positions in my department. Desperately need filling. But hiring freeze. The company is currently is citing current macroeconomic conditions while still making billions, which means they are worried. Yes, we've seen a lot of people pointing out that they're making all this money hand over fist and saying that they can't find people, but then also, like you said, have hiring freezes, which makes it tough to deal with, especially as like a manager or somebody who relies on these missing people. In China and other markets, Tesla has lowered the price of the Model 3 and Model Y. In China, the prices have lowered almost $5,000, prompting a lot of people who bought since September to mob the stores and complain about how they didn't get a discount. I mean, you got what you paid for. And like we keep saying, Tesla will change stuff down the line. The price will go up, price will go down, features will get added, features will get removed. Get what you want, when it's priced the way you want. It makes it hard to grow and support the business when you're short-handed. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Tesla announces Model S and X begin pricing in China and deliveries to begin in Q2 of 2023. So just like we saw in Europe, Model S and Model X have returned to China after a long absence. New York City is buying 1,000 EVs to replace government fossil fuel-powered vehicles and deploys more charging infrastructure. Kudos to them for doing the right thing. Let's see what they bought. They bought 360 Ford E-Transits, 150 Ford F-150 Lightning pickups, and the sanitation department will get 25 plug-in hybrid street sweepers and 382 bolts. Not bad. Oh, and they already reached their goal of swapping out 4,000 ICEs for EVs 3 years ahead of schedule, as the police department spent $12.36 million on 250 Tesla Model 3s for their cruiser fleet. Some of the highway patrol cars were on display last year's New York International Auto Show. There we go. All right, so we heard about the trademark situation. Rivian increases production 36% in Q4 to come within inches of hitting their goal for 2022. Let's see, they were hoping to build 50,000 vehicles in 2022, quickly halved it to 25,000 in March. Though the first 3 quarters, Rivian produced 14,317 vehicles, meant they had another 10,683 to go, and they did 10,020. So just like Tesla, they just barely missed their own guidance by 663 units. So not 10% in Tesla's case, but still, wow, so close. And then there's an update, an internal email sent by RJ Sarange, a copy of which was obtained by Drive Tesla. They actually did meet their target. So what I talked about on the New Year's show was accurate. The rumor that they hit the 50, they did, or at least they say they did. Let's see, what's this one? At the 2023 Investor Day, Tesla's going to talk about their 3rd generation platform, whatever that means, because they thought that the Model 3 was 3rd generation. Really hoping the new sales and service guy at Tesla analyzes service center locations with an eye towards exploding sales numbers. Florida should have at least 2 for each of the large cities. I agree. If Tesla made a big Model X, I'd love that. That thing would fly off the shelf. Wife has been calling for it every week since we've owned the Tesla. 3 rows and cargo space with 2 full rows of gullwing doors. Absolutely. Something like it's already the size of a Suburban, but something like the utility of a Suburban, where you can have the 3 rows of normal sized people, but then have a normal cargo volume as well. So I think a cyber SUV is in order, essentially. The Model XL, yes, call it that. The Model X Max, the Model X Squared. You gotta make sure the pilots get proper training. Can't just stretch it. True. The model number. A model pound. Let's see. I was looking for the date of this. It's in March. It's on March 1st of 2023, the Tesla Investor Day. So they'll do the invites the same way they did to the Tesla Semi event, the delivery event. So it'll be based on shareholders. You'll submit, and then they'll draw your name. Otherwise, you can watch it online with the rest of us. Hertz says their profits exploded after EV fleet investment, which makes sense because now you're doing less maintenance. Tesla is one of the few brands that saw a sales increase in France in 2022. So again, worldwide, setting records. Top selling brands were Peugeot, Renault, and Dacia. Peugeot 208, Dacia Sandero, Renault Clio, and Citroen C3, as well as the Teslas. Model X Mad Max. I like that. Elon would definitely do a Mad Max edition because pound is several X's or number is several X's. Yeah, I like it. I'd like to see something I could build like a truck on, like not the semi truck, but like a Class 6 truck. I just put whatever I want on the back of it. What do we know about the Roadster? Nothing. We know what they showed us, and it's given us nothing further other than the cover for short distance. Was there really a Mad Max option for AP aggressiveness, or was that photoshopped? Yes, yeah, my car is in Mad Max mode for how aggressive AP is. It's designed for LA traffic, they say. I was in the service center recently, and there were 3 Lotus body Roadsters in there for retrofits batteries at $42,000 each. Rich collectors. So those retrofit batteries are probably the 3.0 edition, where you bring your car in and Tesla will upfit your battery with new cells and then put it back, and then that gives you I think 90 kilowatt hours and new LG cells, different bearings. They adjusted the aerodynamics a bit. It was a nice upgrade, and you actually got something for that mad amount of money, and most of it went to the battery. Roadster's waiting on a lot of pass for camera side mirrors. I think what they'll probably do is just like the Cybertruck, where they let you just remove them. Let's see what's next here. The Rivian production. Tesla sell new sales records. Yeah, we talked about that. Fisheries and Oceans Canada, we talked about. Rivian issued federal wetlands permit for planned Georgia factory. That's good for them, so they can continue. And talk about the tax credit. And then we talked about we looked at the thread where Tesla had their achievements last week. We talked about the FSD beta on the Tesla Live show about how there were 285 active members. And Tesla Model Y was the top selling vehicle in Europe for November. Again, like I said, I cut a lot of them out because there's just so many. And Tesla hits a milestone of 886 cars. No, we talked about that. That was the cells, the 4680 cells. Enough for 1,000 cars a day. All right. Seems like a decent price for that battery upgrade. I remember back when I was looking at turning a Sky Roadster into an EV, and the full price of the upgrade was 27 grand in 2015. Yep. I'm 6'5", so the Lotus body is a pipe dream for me. Forehead over windshield. That was how it was when I sat in the original NSX. We had one at the Acura store when I was working there, and I sat in it, and the top wasn't on, and I was looking at the top of the windshield, and I was like, this won't work for me. I did fit in the 2nd gen NSX, and I haven't touched the 3rd gen NSX, but I've seen a couple of them. Look like driving a go-kart. Yeah, like Mario. Here's the fact: I have more headroom in the Model X than I do in an F-250. That is the world we live in. Yeah, and that's part of what's going to be appealing about the Cybertruck once it comes out. Is if Andre the Giant can fit in it, and you're smaller than him, like most of us are, it should be comfortable. Sorry for clapping for those of you with headphones on. All right, so with that, I'm going to go join the baby and grab something to eat, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. I want to thank all of the channel members and sponsors and all of you guys for watching. And let's see, notice more headroom in the F-250s than in Silverados, really. Yeah, I drove an F-650 the other day. It was cramped. It was very cramped. I guess they had more concern for the cargo than the driver. It didn't even have air seats. It's a pleasure, Lance. And hopefully I'll catch you all next week, as well as on Wednesday with the Tesla Live show and What Drives Us. And we'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good night. And thanks you all for hanging out. Absolutely.